What's going on, everyone? How are you guys doing? It is Sunday, and here we are. As promised, we are going to be talking about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. Some interesting picks here that I think that we will go over, and I was able to find a more detailed list as well that has the top 5, sometimes top 10 for some of them, so we will be discussing those as well. And then also, if you guys want to, Discord will be opened up. I'm not quite sure how we will handle that quite yet. I think what we'll do first is kind of go over some of the topics here and the candidates here, and then maybe open it up afterwards for a couple of people to talk about certain ones that they feel like are wrong, perhaps. So lots of interesting things here. I don't think we're going to go over every single one of them because there are quite a lot of them, but there are some very interesting ones that we should definitely go over. And I think there's going to be some that people will be pretty annoyed by. So, I don't know what, this happened 3 days ago or something like that, and people are still talking about it. People are still outraged by it. I don't quite understand. It's kind of meaningless to me. It's kind of pointless. What the Wrestling Observer newsletter subscribers think really doesn't change what I think as well. So I don't think it should for anyone else. So for me, this is more interesting than it is anything else. I don't think that anything should be taken too seriously from this. Of course, you know, everyone is going to have their own fan base, and they're all going to vote accordingly. Like, I'll tell you this right now before we even get started. My audience on Instagram is probably the complete opposite of me. So if we were to do some sort of AOW awards, I can guarantee you that they would probably more be focused around main roster WWE. Pretty much. I mean, I started out covering main roster WWE. I did not cover NXT back in the day. Didn't cover 205 Live or anything like that. And of course, I've covered everything AEW since its inception, but it's still very small for my audience. So, like, if I had to guess, I would probably tell you that my audience would be exactly the opposite of what I think. My top rated things are Raw, easily. So probably Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then AEW as far as my numbers go. You might be able to flip AEW and NXT some weeks depending on what happens, but I don't really think it means anything, to be honest. All right, so now that is out of the way, let's get to some chat here. Caden, how you doing? Maddie Jackson, good to see you guys. AGP Gamer, how are you doing, my friend? Anthony Malley Man, Flash, Marcel, Cowboy Clark, Elijah, how are you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in on a Sunday. I know that it's a little later in the day, but just kind of hang out, chat, discuss a couple things. James Wheeler, always good to see you. Obi James as well. Nikki Boy, good to see you. I'm not quite sure if I've seen you before, but welcome. Leroy says, who else heard about New Japan Pro Wrestling merging the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships? Yes, that is a thing that happened. It is. There's going to be a new IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's going to have a different design. It's going to be a new title. I'm not sure if it's going to follow that lineage or not of anything, but who knows? It'll be interesting to see. I'm not quite sure when the announcement is. It's sometime within the next couple hours, I would assume. I don't know. It's Japan time. I can't ever remember what time it is. Alex says, hey, sorry I missed the last couple of streams. Had a lot going on. Hey, no worries, man. It's all good. I'll be here chilling. Always do whatever you got to do before a post show, man. Post shows are always here. It don't matter. We here. Even if you miss them, they're here on demand. No big deal. Caden says, you were going to send AJ Styles to crush my dreams. I'm sorry, my friend. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. James says, LOL. Conor McGregor won best box office draw, but he's not a wrestler. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, but I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is for these. I don't subscribe to Wrestling Observer newsletter. I have no idea. I just think that it's funny that people have been crying about these for 3 days. So I figured, why not hang out, do what we do, just have a couple conversations here and talk about it. Because that's what we do, right? Father Rollins is here. Bless you, my friend. Bless you. Thank you for getting me monetization. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and so before we get on with anything, I just want to say thank you guys. We did reach that monetization goal on Friday for the SmackDown post show, and it's unfortunately delayed 24 hours, so I couldn't do it until Saturday night. So I was able to apply for that. It's all taken care of. It's all good to go. The only thing is that it says it can take up to a month to process. So we're just here chilling, waiting. I guess any day it could happen. I've read that for some people it has taken 24 to 48 hours. Other people say that it took them 3 to 4 weeks. So I don't know. I guess we just have to sit and wait and check on it. But I'm very excited. I've been dreaming for this moment. I'm very excited. I don't know what to expect from it. I'm assuming I'll do like a 2-hour post show and get like 35 cents from it, but it's all good, man. It's all good. You got to start somewhere. So I'm very excited. So thank all of you guys for making that happen and everything. I really appreciate it. I can't believe how fast we did it either. I cannot believe how fast. It's incredible. How's it doing, Bob? Good to see you. Father Rollins says, I better be on that list. I'm actually not quite sure if you are on this list. Not quite sure. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Warrior says, don't know why people are so outraged by the awards. It's not like these are the definitive wrestling opinions. You're still allowed to have your own. That's what I don't get, man. That's what I don't understand. Like, okay, so Jon Moxley won the Wrestler of the Year. Does that actually mean that Jon Moxley is the best wrestler of the entire year? Maybe. But that is up to your opinion. Kenny Omega is on that list. Drew McIntyre is on that list. Roman Reigns is on that list. There are a couple good choices for that one. So I don't know. I think that everyone should just kind of not be mad at someone else's opinion and just keep doing what you're doing. You know, if you think that, man, I'm trying to pick up a Pick up. If you think that King Corbin was the best wrestler of the year, man, all power to you. All power to you. All the power to you. Let's see here. Kumar says, who do you think should win the women's finals and dethrone Hikaru Shida or not? If it were up to me, I would have had Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in the US finals. I don't care who would win that match, but I would have that person go on to beat the Japan side, and then I would have Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker dethrone Hikaru Shida. That's what I would have done. I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, I guess it is what it is on that one. But yeah, thank you guys for the congratulations. I couldn't do it without you guys, so I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Nikki says it matters to the key demo, and that's all that counts. James says I really do want Raw to be a third special edition called the Phillip Appreciation Night. We might do it. We'll see. We shall see. We shall see. All right, so let's get into these awards here. There's quite a few. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we're just gonna start it off from the top here. I did find a detailed list over on Reddit on r squared circle by antagonist. I don't know. It's got all of them. So we're gonna talk about these. The category A awards we will go over first, and we'll go over some of the B ones. Like I said, I'm not quite sure if we'll go over all of them or not. And then maybe afterwards, what we'll do is we'll go through, we'll have people join in on Discord. You can talk about a couple of awards if you want and tell me who you think should have won, and some top contenders or something like that. We'll figure out something interesting to do with it. Marcel says Squared Circle was quite split. Was it? I haven't read it. I don't really belong to anything wrestling related outside of my own stuff. Which I think I should probably stop doing. But I don't know. We'll see. So let's go ahead and start this off here. We'll start off with the big wait. Before we get started, if you're here and it's your first time, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, please make sure to hit the like button as well. Someone already hit me with the thumbs down. Someone's already mad. Someone is already mad at the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. Bless their souls. Bless their souls. All right. Anyways, let's get on with this here. Marcel says Squared Circle can get toxic. I feel like most places can, man. I really do. Really feel like a lot of places can get very toxic. And that's why I try to be just like in my own little bubble. Like I just don't want to deal with people's shit for no reason. And I think someone told me that someone stole my name. There's someone running around with Authors of Wrestling on Reddit, so that's kind of shitty. It's kind of shitty. Bob says I've noticed someone always comes to dislike. Yeah, I mean, jokes on them. There is no difference between the like and the dislike button on YouTube for metrics. It's all the same. So it's kind of like, commenting on something. A comment is a comment. It doesn't matter if the comment's negative or it's positive. It's a comment. So even if someone dislikes the stream, it's still interaction, so still shows it to other people. Love to see it. Alex says, what happened to the AEW BR stream? So I don't know. I think something happened to it. It was taken offline at some point for some reason. I think they were having issues, and then they aired it on YouTube. I think it aired on the AEW YouTube channel. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I had a stupid busy day today. But I wanted to make sure that this was that we did this, because I always say that we should do a Sunday show, and then I never end up having time to do them. So I was dead set on having this show tonight at 7. Marcel says Squared Circle had their own awards and AEW won most of them too. So like, how can people complain? I mean, everything aside, AEW had a pretty good year, to be honest. And WWE did not really have a really good year. They really didn't. The pandemic killed them, crippled them for months and months and months and months and months. And their shows still haven't recovered from it, but their pay-per-views at least have. Marcel says Khan was super pissed at BR and said people could watch it for free on YouTube. I did see his tweet about people being able to watch it on YouTube, but I mean, I could imagine being pissed. The whole idea behind all of this was to have BR's huge audience view this, so that kind of seemed to have backfired, which is really unfortunate. I did see that BR posted about it earlier, and I looked through some of the comments, and a lot of people seem to be like trash talking it, saying like talking about it's fake and yada 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 yada, and it's like, okay, whatever. Style said, I heard about the list and I better be on it. I'm not sure if you are, man. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at most of them, to be honest, so I'm not quite sure what we're in for. I have seen a couple of them, but I have not gone in depth through them, so it'll be interesting to learn about them as well. Marcel says, because there is a sub called SC Jerk, which is the minority that have an SC that are very anti-AEW that created the toxicity. Yeah, I mean, I don't get why people are so toxic about things that they don't like. Like, I'd prefer to just not watch them or deal with them. But, you know, whatever. If you get off by being an asshole online, I guess that's cool for you. You know, whatever those people want to do. Warrior says, with WWE, their pay-per-views were from all right to good, but can't say the same about the weekly TV shows. Yeah, they've been terrible. Absolutely terrible. Terrible year for WWE, content-wise, weekly TV show-wise, I guess, because content-wise, they do very well. Their documentaries are really good. All those 24s, 365s, like all those are really, 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 really well done. So I'm very excited to see those other shows that they have too, because they do those very well. Jaden says, what's up, buddy? I hope you had a good weekend, and it's nice to tune into the stream tonight. Welcome, Jaden. Good to see you once again, my friend. I had a great weekend, and I figured we would just hang out, chill, have a Sunday stream, and talk about these awards that are pissing everyone off. James says, would you like to see Jon Moxley appear on Impact, considering the 4 promotion partnership? It would be very interesting to see Jon Moxley on Impact, and it would be very interesting to see what that did for them. I would be very interested in seeing that. He could do something with Sami Callihan for sure, but, you know, since he just retained the IWGP United States Championship, he might be working a lot in Japan. Elijah says, just playing Cold War and tuning into the stream. That's awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Warrior says, Big E's documentary just dropped. Gotta watch that later. I do. I need to watch that as well. And I still need to watch the APA one. I need to watch the APA documentary so bad. I forgot that it even was on there. So I need to watch it. Maddie Jackson says, tomorrow is the day that WWE goes full Peacock. Really? Does it really tomorrow? And they haven't announced anything about it yet? We don't know if we have to go in and cancel our WWE Network subscriptions. We don't know if they're just going to roll us into Peacock. We don't know any of this. What a disaster. What a disaster. I hope this isn't crazy. The Legend says, greetings, AEW. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Good to see you. Elijah and James say, they both say it's March 18th. Okay, so we have a little bit of time. A little bit of time. Cool. Okay, so I hope that they announce it soon, because they need to clarify a lot of things. There's a lot of people who are still very confused about how all of this is going to work. Skinny says, would you like to see Pac for AEW champion? Sure. Flash says, big money AOW. Congratulations, my friend. I'm ready for tonight's show. Yeah, we really need to get into it. I kind of want to stay on topic as much as we possibly can tonight. So we'll get into that in just a minute here. But yes, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. Skinny says, I wonder if I get to watch some free content on the WWE app still. I think there is some free stuff on Peacock. Maybe not. I don't know. Gold says, so help me if I'm not on the list, I will spare you. I actually think you are on this list, my friend. I think you are. I think you're number 1 or number 2 for one of these. Maddie says, Pac to dethrone Adam Page. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Pac, or maybe Miro if he's ready for it. I'm not sure. Raphael says, yes, wouldn't be an AEW stream if there wasn't someone pretending to be a wrestler. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of interesting how that has played out, huh? Okay, so let's kick the banter to the curb here, and let's get into the actual show here. So it is finally time to talk about the 2020 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, the thing that has had Twitter going bananas for the past 3 days. I've seen everyone from random ass people, Mike 2756664233741, crying on Twitter about it. I've seen people who own big wrestling news sites crying about the results on Twitter as well. So I mean, it's gone all over the place. So let's finally talk about it. So for the category A awards, I believe these are the big dog awards here, the big ones. The first award is the Lou Thez / Ric Flair Award. This is the Wrestler of the Year. Jon Moxley is the one that won this award, and me personally, I don't really have any complaints about that. I have no complaints of Jon Moxley being Wrestler of the Year. Jon Moxley had a fantastic year. He did wonders in AEW. He did a lot of great things for the AEW World Championship. So I have absolutely no problem with any of that. Next up on this list for number 2, so we have 10. We have a list of 10 people for this list. So number 2 for Wrestler of the Year is Kenny Omega. No problems with that. Number 3, Tetsuya Naito. Number 4, Kota Ibushi. Number 5, Drew McIntyre. 6, Bayley. 7 is Go Shiozaki. 8, Roman Reigns. 9, Mayu Iwatani. And 10, Chris Jericho. I'm not mad at this list. I'm not familiar with number 7 or number 9, so I'm not familiar with Go Shiozaki. I've heard the name Mayu Iwatani a lot. I've heard that name a lot, but I'm not familiar with her, and I am not familiar with Go Shiozaki whatsoever as well. But this list is pretty solid to me, to be honest. I don't have any problems with this list whatsoever. Shiozaki is the top guy in Noah. Okay, yeah, see, I'm not familiar with that. And something that I should probably tell everyone here is that I'm familiar with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I don't watch it on a weekly basis. I don't watch every single thing that they do. I usually tune in for your Wrestle Kingdoms, your Dominion, your G1 Supercard, stuff like that. The other stuff, I just kind of see what's going on a random basis when I actually see it. So to be honest, I have no problems with this list whatsoever. I would make possibly the argument to put Drew McIntyre up in the top 3 as well. I could see that argument being made, but I'm not mad with this list whatsoever. Not at all. The legend says Jon Moxley deserves this because he carried AEW in 2020. Yeah, I mean, I think Jon Moxley did great. He put on a lot of classics. He did some fire promos. Can't complain whatsoever. Skinny says Jon Moxley is good on the mic. He is. Elijah says, same bro, I had Drew top 3, even top 2. Yeah, so I hadn't seen the actual top 10 list for this. My whole thing was it's either got to be Jon Moxley or Drew McIntyre. Right off the top, that's what I would have gone with. Jon Moxley dominated the year, and then Drew McIntyre dominated the year for WWE. I think, Drew McIntyre was dealt a really shitty hand with the pandemic and everything that he had to go through, but I think he was very interesting through most of it. His feuds did kind of drag him down a little bit, but he did wonders. So off the top, those would have been my 2. I'm not mad at this list, though. Like I said, not mad at it whatsoever. Miley Man says AEW won way too many awards, if you ask me. Well, I mean, that's the whole point of this. We're going to go over them and we're gonna kind of talk about him and see kind of what's going on. Skinny says, do you think Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley would be a memorable feud, and wouldn't that match be a 5-star? Yeah, 100%. They did have a memorable feud, and they did have memorable matches as well. That lights out match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega was incredible. I'll never forget that match. I loved it. Jaden says, good to see Drew get some respect. Yeah, he deserves it. He deserves it 100%. Marcel says 2021 Wrestler of the Year right now is either Omega, Ibushi, or Roman. Yeah, it's kind of... so like I said, I'm going to be skewed a little bit away from anything New Japan Pro Wrestling because I don't watch it on a weekly basis. So remember that. Keep that in mind when I'm talking about things. I'm not always 100% familiar with what is going on right there, but Omega, Ibushi, and Roman Reigns are great. It would be very hard to pick one of those three for me at the moment. Omega with the whole Forbidden Door stuff is really good, but man, Roman Reigns has been incredible as well. Incredible. Warrior says the only thing that really hurt Drew's reign was that he had like no credible opponents outside of Orton at the time. Yeah, and they had like a 5-month feud that went back and forth and all that, and he dropped the title and all that. It's like, man, I don't know. Shelvis says, hey, OW, I didn't know you was streaming today. Yes, I said this on the Friday show that we were going to be doing this, just kind of hanging out. It was kind of like a last minute thing. I wanted to talk about them on Friday, but it seemed like there was a lot of people who actually wanted to go more in depth and talk about them. So we decided to do it on Sunday. Which is today. DeQuavis says, sub AOW, these awards kind of sucked. The Fiend is not the worst gimmick of the year. I mean, we'll talk about it. We will talk about it. And also, I'm not quite sure if... I mean, we'll get to it. Leroy says, I just found out that WWE hasn't won Promotion of the Year in over 20 years. I mean, does it matter? Does it matter? Who cares? I don't even know how large this list of people is, to be honest. If you know, please let me know, because I think it'd be interesting. But should WWE have won Promotion of the Year in the past 20 years? I don't know. Skinny says the Fiend should have main evented WrestleMania last year. The Fiend, man, I don't know. I don't know about the Fiend. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Shelby says, you opening up Discord, and what's the topic for tonight? So tonight's topic is the Wrestling Observer Awards for 2020. And yes, I will be opening up Discord. I have it open here. I think we're going to run through it first. We're going to run through the whole thing first, kind of talk about, we're not going to talk about every single thing in here, but we're going to talk about a lot of it. And then once we're finished through that, I'm going to open it up, and people can be brought in, and we can have discussions about whichever one you want. And you can go in depth of why you think someone should have won it, someone shouldn't have won it. I think that's the way that we're going to do it tonight. Delight says, I'm so happy Excalibur won Announcer of the Year. Yeah, that is incredible. That's really cool for him. DeQuavis says, I just knew the awards were a joke when I saw AEW Dark higher than SmackDown. Maybe that's what their audience wants, is just pure wrestling. I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, I've never subscribed to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I don't know how many people they are. I'm not quite sure what they're interested or not. So we're just going to go over this because everyone was pissed off, and I think it's interesting. So that is the first one. So to go over that again, for those of you that did not hear it, it is the Lou Thez / Ric Flair Award, which is the Wrestler of the Year, went to Jon Moxley. And like I said, no complaints. Maddie Jackson says BTE shouldn't be on the best wrestling TV show list. I agree with you. I agree. I don't think that BTE belongs on the same list as a standard wrestling show. It should be its own. In terms of like, I don't know if you would put it on like a weekly TV show or just like wrestling inspired show or something like that. I would have put it on that, not with your standard promotion things, because I do think it would belong pretty high on that list because BTE is very enjoyable every single week. I don't think I've ever seen a bad episode of BTE. Bob says, I love BTE, but there's no wrestling to call it a wrestling show. Yeah. Anthony says, did you make your own list? No. I did not make my own list. I do not. Enough people complain about the shit that I say on a weekly basis. I have no interest in making a list and having people be mad at me and call me an idiot for 3 weeks. No, thank you. Flash says, agree. BTE is a YouTube show. It's comedy, not a wrestling show, and I love BTE. Yeah, I think we're all pretty much in agreement for that one, that it shouldn't belong on that list. Hoodie, how you doing, my friend? How are you doing? We are just getting started here discussing the One Awards. So the first one was the Wrestler of the Year that went to Jon Moxley. Next up, we have the Most Outstanding Wrestler. This award went to AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, the 2020 Most Outstanding Wrestler of the Year. Again, no complaints for that for me. Kenny Omega has been great for quite a while. The tag team stuff was fantastic as well. Kenny Omega's been on fire. No complaints about that. Next up, we have Kota Ibushi for number 2. Number 3, Shingo Takagi. Number 4, Tomohiro Ishii. 5, Will Ospreay. 6, Minoru Suzuki. 7, Kazuchika Okada. 8, Hiromu Takahashi. 9, Shiozaki. And 10, Rey Fenix. So this one is dominated by New Japan Pro Wrestling people. Tons of New Japan. So pretty much everyone here is from New Japan except Kenny Omega, Rey Fenix, and Go Shiozaki. I believe Marcel said that Go Shiozaki is from Noah. Maddie says, can someone explain why this award and the last one exist separately? Yeah, so I think that what I saw someone say was that Wrestler of the Year is like overall. So overall, like wins, losses, match performance, promos, all like everything, the whole entire package. I believe that's Wrestler of the Year. Most Outstanding Wrestler, I believe, is just in-ring. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's just in-ring performance for Most Outstanding Wrestler. James says Kenny Omega is a superstar, but he ain't no John Cena. I mean, that's not really a diss to anyone, because how many John Cenas are there in the world? There's not many. There's really not many. I mean, if you want to talk, I would say that John Cena and The Rock are pretty much the only people that have transcended that high. Most Outstanding means best in-ring work. Okay, so yeah, we nailed it right there. Anthony says, so this is the AOW Slammy Awards. No. This is the 2020 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, read out loud by AOW. There you go. Presented by AOW. I don't know. Viewer says there's only one John Cena. Yeah, and there's only one other person of that magnitude, and that's The Rock. Jude the Dude says Hulk Hogan as well, but I'm talking like movie star, like, you know. Flash says I would add Batista to that list with The Rock and Cena. Yeah, I mean, you could add Batista to that list, but I still think that Rock and Cena would be on a completely different level than Batista as well. Marcel says, what is this rebooting Superman shit? I don't know it. I'm not happy about it. Skinny says John isn't as good as Dwayne though. He's pretty good ass kisser and still is. Brock Lesnar. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at Brock Lesnar being like that, but I was more so talking about the movie star thing, like transcending in that, you know. Bob says Batista wasn't in the main event for that long compared to Rock or Cena. So yeah, when I'm talking about John Cena and I'm talking about The Rock, I'm talking about leaving WWE and being like a movie superstar. That's what I'm referring to for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any complaints about this. I think all of those people are talented. Like I said, I don't know who Go Shiozaki is, but I am familiar with all of the rest of these guys. I am not familiar with their entire body of work through 2020 because like I said, I do not watch New Japan that much. But I know that they beat the living hell out of each other for like 20, 30, 40 minutes. So off of that alone, I have no problems with this. James says, I might consider hosting a WrestleMania 37 Zoom watch party. I would be very careful about that because they're probably going to take you down. My friend. They're not happy about that. Marcel says, opinion. Batista is the only actor that has range. Rock does the same role every time, and Cena kinda. I haven't really watched many Rock and Cena movies. Not sure. I haven't seen any Batista movies either, I don't think. I haven't been a really big movie watcher lately, to be honest with you. Skinny says Stone Cold equals CM Punk equals Macho Man equals Bret Hart equals Kevin Owens. Warrior says, I'd agree. Honestly, Rock basically just plays himself in different situations. Yeah. Obi James says Rock is mostly in action movies. Yeah, it's just like huge movies, man. I can't believe how much stuff that guy gets. Skinny says Batista in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I love Batista in those movies. It's fantastic. He's great for that role. Absolutely great. Okay, so that wraps up the most outstanding wrestler, and like I said, that one went to Kenny Omega. No complaints there. Tag team of the year. There might be some discussions to be able to had on this one. Tag team of the year goes to the Young Bucks. Tag team of the year for the year of 2020 goes to the Young Bucks. Not mad at that, but I definitely think there are two others that should have won this instead. So number 2 goes to Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. I think there's a very good argument here to put Omega and Page as number 1. They dominated the AEW tag team division. They had a fantastic title run. They had a fantastic story with everything. I think it was very, very good. Very good. FTR got number 3. I think that there could be a solid argument for FTR to have won here, but I'm not quite sure. FTR AEW debut. Let's see when they came in. So they came in like almost halfway through the year. FTR debuted on AEW on May 27th of 2020. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that they probably shouldn't have had them be number 1. So I'm not mad at FTR being number 3. Not mad at that at all. Marcel says, you have to remember that FTR was in the WWE at the start of 2020. That's crazy. That's insane to think about. Wow. Crazy to think about. Wow. The landscape of professional wrestling has changed quite a bit. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how many people have flip-flopped back and forth, or not back and forth, but to AEW or to other promotions as well. It's crazy. Obi James says no Street Profits. Yes, there's no Street Profits on this list. Jude said, did FTR do anything in WWE early in the year? I don't think so. I did. One of the things that I really liked about the revival in WWE was when they put him with Randy Orton for a very, very short period of time. That ruled. That was so awesome. I loved that. And it's a huge shame that it only lasted for like 2 weeks. What a shame. That should have FTR KO should have been a cool stable, a cool faction. Man, I would have loved that. Let's see here. Andre says 2020 was a wild year. It was. 2021 has been wild as well. Wild as well. Marcel says Street Profits did jack shit, feuded with Andrade and Angel Garza for 6 months. Yeah, so okay. So one of the things that you have to remember here is that these aren't always just based off of someone's talents. It's based off of how active they were for the full year and what they did for the full year. Honestly, to me, if you mention, if you say, hey, tag teams of 2020, I'm instantly going Kenny Omega, Adam Page. I'm instantly going Young Bucks, and I'm instantly going FTR. Like, period. So I have no problem with the top 3 here. WWE hasn't done anything with their tag division. Usos out, New Day out, Street Profits not doing anything interesting. Doesn't take away from them being talented. It just means that they weren't doing anything. You know? Plus that whole like Viking Raiders feud, I believe, was in 2020 as well. That was brutal. I did not like that. Raphael says, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if there's no WWE teams. Their tag division was lacking. So even the good teams don't hold that much of an achievement. Exactly, Raphael. Exactly. That is 100% what I'm trying to say. 100%. There is a WWE tag team on here, and I think that they belong here as well. Basili says that's the number one reason the Young Bucks turned down WWE. Yeah. How crazy would that have been? Okay. So we have the first 3. 1, Young Bucks. 2, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. 3, FTR. 4, the Dangerous Techers. I'm not familiar with anything that they have done in 2020. Dangerous Techers is Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. I have absolutely no clue what they did in 2020. So I can't speak on this one at all. Andre says, you didn't like the ninjas? How dare you? No, I didn't. Marcel says, some people said maybe Sasha and Bayley should have been in the list. They are in the list. They are. Banks and Bayley are in this tag team of the year list. Marcel says that Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi carried the tag division. Okay, so there you go. Dangerous Techers are number 4 on this list, followed by Bayley and Sasha Banks. Bayley and Sasha Banks are ranked number 5 tag team of the year for 2020. I have no complaints about this at all. Bayley and Sasha Banks were great. They were memorable women's tag team champions. I liked everything about it. I liked the turn. I liked the teases for the turns. I loved all of it. This was done very well. If you ask me. So no problems with that. No problems with that whatsoever. Number 6 on the list is the North. This is Impact's Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. Again, not one that I can speak on so much. I don't really watch Impact. I do know that the North kicks ass, though. Josh Alexander is very talented, and Ethan Page is very talented as well. I would have loved to have seen the North take on FTR. I think that would have been fantastic. It's a shame that can't happen anymore. The North is split up, but I have no problem with them being on this list. Number 6, the North. Charles says, seriously, the Fiend, worst gimmick of 2020. It seems like a lot of people are mad about that one. Seems like a lot of people are mad about that one. But, you know, I don't think they're too far off, to be honest. But we'll talk about that. You have to remember that when talking about things like this, we're talking about the year. We're talking about the year as a whole. We're not talking about their talent. We're not talking about their creativity. We're solely talking about their year in wrestling. So all of 2020, their feuds, their matches, their wins, their losses, all that stuff, you have to take that into consideration. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to it, but I do have a couple things to say. Alex says, we are a year to the day from the infamous match. Oh, God. Anthony says, Sammy and Corbin are the best tag team. Yes, they should be number one. Number one. Marcel says, rip to the north. Yeah, man, I really wish that they would have been going on a little bit longer. Marcel says, worst gimmick should have been Retribution, and I hate the Fiend. I completely agree with you there. 100%. No Hack says, hey, OW, sorry for coming in late. What's been going on? Nothing, man. We're just kind of hanging out. Just kind of going over these Wrestling Observer newsletter awards here. Talking about them. We're not too far in. Let's see here. So number 7 goes to Best Friends. Best Friends. Did Best Friends have a really good 2020? Yeah, I guess they did. They had a pretty good year. So, okay. So number 7 goes to Best Friends. Number 8 goes to the Lucha Brothers. Number 9 goes to Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. Cannot speak on that one at all. I didn't even know that they were teaming up whatsoever. And then number 10 is actually a tie between Santana and Ortiz and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Woo Back Baby says, best gimmick, Orange Cassidy. I don't remember a thing he did at all. Orange Cassidy had a couple of really good moments. Had a couple good moments with Chris Jericho. Good feud with him. Maddie Jackson says, I like the Swamp match. I did too, actually. I did too. Punk says, but I like the Swamp match. Cinematic matches are always cool. So, okay. Actually, I'm going to reserve that discussion for when we get to there. I'm going to reserve that because I do have a couple things to say about that. Maddie says, Cassidy had the best match of 2020 with Pac. There you go. There you go. I find Orange Cassidy very interesting. Very interesting. I have no problems with him whatsoever. I think it's an interesting gimmick, and I like it. I like it. It's unique. Alex says, where are the Street Profits? They are not on the list. They are not on this Tag Team of the Year list whatsoever. So, let's go over this list one more time. Tag Team of the Year, number 1 goes to the Young Bucks. Number 2 goes to Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Number 3, FTR. Number 4, the Dangerous Tekkers. 5, Bayley and Sasha Banks. 6, The North. 7, Best Friends. 8, Lucha Brothers. 9, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. And 10 was tied between Santana and Ortiz and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Maddie Jackson says Street Profits over Santana and Ortiz easily. I don't know. I wouldn't have been mad if Street Profits were on this list, but I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. Ale says, and Ibushi is a free agent after this month. What? Really? Marcel says the Juice match was pretty good, to be honest. I didn't mind it. I was expecting something a little different, but I didn't mind what they did. I didn't mind what they ended up doing. Raphael says, I think from an overall tag team perspective, the Street Profits should be there because they deserve it. But then when you think about who they faced and the state of the awful tag division, I see why. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, once again, like I said, this is just voted on by their subscribers. So I don't know. If this was my tag team list, I definitely would have put the Street Profits on here probably. I don't really watch New Japan, so I wouldn't have had Dangerous Tekkers. I wouldn't have had the North on here. And I wouldn't have had Hiroshi Tanahashi or Kota Ibushi because I don't watch New Japan or Impact enough. Ale says Maki Ito had the best gimmick. I've become a huge fan of her, overseeing what she's done with AEW. Basili says when Orange Cassidy debuted dressed as Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty in a tag team match, and someone knocked off Orange Cassidy's wig, and they booed the guy that knocked off his wig. Yeah, people love Orange Cassidy, and I do too. I like him. Mally Man says if match of the year isn't the Boneyard match between AJ Styles and Undertaker, I'm leaving. I don't believe it is. What is my favorite tag team of all time? I don't know. That answer would probably change depending on what the parameters would be. You know, because one of my most memorable favorite tag teams would be APA during that time. But if we're talking about other things, I really like Kenny and Adam Page. I really like FTR. I really liked back in the day. I really liked Kane and X-Pac together. I loved that. The New Age Outlaws, I like that as well. The Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, I don't know, it's hard. Punk says, but why they give all the worst awards to WWE? Probably because they deserved them this year. That would be my guess. WWE did not have a good year in terms of weekly content. Sure, they made a lot of money. Cool for them. But in terms of the things that they did, their products, they're not so great. Okay, so Tag Team of the Year, wrapped up, all done. Next up, we have Best on Interviews. The person that won this is Eddie Kingston. Once again, no complaints here. No complaints whatsoever. Eddie Kingston is incredible on the mic. Incredible. So, no complaints. Still, we've gone through this list. No complaints so far. I mean, if you watch BTE, you've seen Eddie Kingston cut a promo on some Sour Patch Kids backstage or something like that, And even just what he said, what he just made up, it's incredible. And his feud that he had with Jon Moxley was it was mind-blowing. Not because it was anything revolutionary or because it was anything crazy, but the words that this man put together, the feeling, it was all about the feeling for this. I felt Eddie Kingston. I felt every single word that he said. And it was damn, the passion, it was so good. It was so good. So 100%, no problem with Eddie Kingston. He showed up. He's absolutely killed it ever since. Absolutely killed it. Let's see here. Al says, it's funny how they released everyone then signed new people. Yeah, right? I like the whole, we have to release you guys because it's a pandemic. And then also on the same sentence, hey, we make record profits this month and we're on to make record profits for the rest of the year as well. Sorry you lost your job. No Hack says that Sour Patch Kids promo is an all-timer. It's so good, man, to see what he can just pull together just like that. It's incredible. Marcel says Eddie came out of nowhere in mid-2020 and was main eventing a major pay-per-view by the end of it. Yeah, and you felt it. You felt it. It was so good. Just the passion and stuff like that. That's something that an AEW writer couldn't come up with backstage. That's not something that a WWE writer could come up with backstage. That was passion. That was this man speaking from the heart. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So big ups to Eddie Kingston for what he's able to do. He knocks it out of the park every single time, and he 100% deserves this, without a doubt. Obi James says Eddie Kingston quickly became one of the best heels in AEW. He did. He did. And sometimes, you know, it's just those mic skills and those connections that you can get with people that really just brings everything home. Warrior says, did you see Kingston giving a speech the day of the Brody Lee tribute episode? Dude is such a genuinely awesome human being. I'm glad that you brought that up, Warrior Nation, because I totally forgot that happened. That was incredible, man. That was a tearjerker. Like, shout out to Eddie Kingston, man. Shout out to Eddie Kingston. That's all I can say. This man is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Raphael says, Eddie Kingston is better than anyone at making wrestling seem real through his words. When he talks, it really feels like he truly believes everything he says. Yep. I couldn't say it better. I couldn't say it better myself, Raphael. That was perfect, man. I felt that. I felt the passion. I felt how much the AEW World Championship meant to him and how much winning it meant to him. Like, I'll never forget that. Marcel says, imagine a WWE writer writing for Eddie Kingston. It would be interesting for sure. Interesting for sure. El says, Sammy will win Babyface of the Year for 2021. Watch out. I'm expecting a lot of huge things from Sammy Guevara next year. I am. Or this year. Sorry. Flash says, Eddie's speech in the Brody Lee tribute backstage is one of the greatest things I heard. It is. It is. No Hack says, if Eddie vs. Mox at Full Gear was a little bit longer, it would have been my top 10 matches of 2020. It was a good one. It was a good one. Bob says, we'll love Moxley and Kingston as a team. That'd be good. Be down to see that. I think Moxley wants to work with Darby Allin as well as a team. El says, have you talked about the women's tournament yet? No, we haven't. I mean, we kind of did a little bit, but not much. I don't think there's really much to talk about. I think most of us know what's going on already as well. Basili says, Eddie Kingston's mic work makes you invest in a rivalry or a product. Yes. And I think that's missing a lot of the times in a lot of the feuds that we see in today's world. You don't have that passion, you know? You need to see those passions from things. It helps connect. It doesn't only help you connect to that character, but it helps connect you to that feud. It helps connect you to those matches as well. And it just brings everything home. It really does. All right. So next up on this list for best of interviews, we have number 2 being Jon Moxley. No complaints about that. Jon Moxley is flames on the mic as well. Number 3 is MJF. 4, Cody Rhodes. 5, Chris Jericho. 6, Taz. 7, Roman Reigns. 8, Jay White. 9, Pat McAfee. And 10, Randy Orton. This list is pretty solid, to be honest. This list is very solid. Roman Reigns. So there could be an argument for Roman Reigns to be higher on this list, but you have to remember that he didn't come back till later. Roman Reigns returns 2020. What day was that? So Roman Reigns returned August 23rd. So Roman Reigns didn't have that much time in 2020. So him being on the list is cool, but he shouldn't have been higher because of that. Marcel says, and guess what? 95% of the top 10 do non-scripted promos. Yep. And I would even say that Roman Reigns probably doesn't do crazy scripted promos because I'm assuming that him and Paul Heyman have the reins on that one. Marcel says also, by the way, the voting started in October. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, you really don't have that much time to do anything. Flash says McAfee was tremendous in his mic skills. I couldn't agree more. I think all of these guys are great speakers. Again, don't really watch New Japan, so I'm not too certain on Jay White. But man, I did see a segment that he did that was one of the backstage ones for New Japan. I think it was the one where he said he quit. And that was really good. That was really good. So I'm not mad at any of these people. Not mad. No Hack says the Reigns. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. That's funny how that worked out. Maddie Jackson says the less scripted, the better, as you can see from most wrestlers. Yeah, I mean, it's so dumb. Like, how are you going to tell me what to say? Like, here, I think that this is what WWE should do going forward. Tell people what you want from them and let them do it in their own way. Don't write out word for word what I should be saying. Just give me the talking points and let me get there in my own way, because you don't know how I speak. You don't know the words that I will use. You don't know anything. You're just some random guy. So give me the talking points. Let me fit it into my character and let me make it work. I think that would do wonders for WWE, because some of it is so bad. Some of it is so bad. Raphael says this list is actually perfect, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. Marcel says Jay White is arguably the best heel in the world. I think Jay White has a very bright future ahead of him. I think that if he ever leaves New Japan and comes to AEW or, God forbid, WWE, I think he could be a star. Like, really, like a big star. Chloe says, so my question is, who told Apollo we're going to need a promo and put a little accent in there? Yeah, I could have done without the promo, but I'm very happy to see Apollo where he is. Maddie says a bullet list of what they need to get across to the audience and a time limit. Let the wrestlers be pro wrestlers. There you go. There you go. Couldn't agree more. It would have been perfect. Would have been perfect. Anthony says, I think The Fiend should have been on the list for best interviews. Oh, I mean, I guess you could do Bray Wyatt for like the Firefly Funhouse things if you want to put those in there, but The Fiend, man, doesn't even talk. Matthew says Excalibur should not have won that award. Ian Riccoboni been killing it in Ring of Honor for years, but I guess that money comes from AEW to Meltzer is more important than actual talent. Well, Matthew, I would tell you that no one watches Ring of Honor. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I've watched a handful of episodes of Ring of Honor in my entire life, and that was with the Bucks and Cody and all of them there. So I don't know. And you have to remember this. I don't get why people care about Dave Meltzer so much. He didn't make this list. It's his subscribers that made this list. So I don't think it should matter. Also, I've never even heard of that guy, to be honest with you. Never even heard of him. Raphael says, I'll use Bailey as an example. In AEW, people talk and it sounds natural. It sounds like what an actual person would say, and everything they say makes sense. In WWE, every promo is like ding dong, hello. Although I do like the way that Bailey is. I like the way that Bailey is. I'm very happy with her, the way that she's molded into her character. I loved it when she first smashed the Bailey Buddies, but after that, I wasn't really a fan of her character, but she's really molded into it, and it's been great. Raphael says, ding dong, hello. Nobody talks like that. Yes. Basili says that's why Randy Orton and AJ Styles rivalry in 2018 was so entertaining, because they both broke the fourth wall against each other. Punk says Michael Cole worst commentator. Yes. Anthony says, wait, AOW, you don't like Nikki Cross's accent? I love Nikki Cross's accent, but it belongs to her. We've been hearing Apollo speak normal forever, so him to have like some weird accent all of a sudden doesn't really make sense. Unless it was just for him, like, kind of, I don't know if imitating is the correct word to use, but, you know, like if he's just imitating his father or grandfather, whatever, that's fine. But if he's going to continue doing it going forward, then, like, please no. Please no. Chloe with a friendly reminder. Yes, let me tell all of you guys here really quick. Friendly reminder, Enzo and Cass socks are 25% off at AOW Mart. You can get your Enzo and Big Cass socks for just $2. The AOW Boss Time gift? Yes. Yes. Where it says Apollo only used the accent because he was quoting his grandfather. See, if that's the case, I'm 100% cool with it. I don't mind it. I hope that it's something he doesn't do going forward, though. No Hack says, I don't watch Ring of Honor. I bet Ian is good, but it seems like the subscribers watch more mainstream stuff. Yeah. And that's why you can't be so mad about something like this. Like, not everyone that, it's even for me, like I do this as kind of a living now, I guess. And I even don't devote a lot of time to Impact or Ring of Honor or stuff like that. Okay. When you get to a certain point, you have to kind of consider that, is it worth it? Is it worth it? So for me to tie down another day of the week where I have to sit at home and I have to sit at my computer taking screenshots and editing them and posting updates and giving opinions and doing another post show, it's like, okay, is it worth it for the small amount of audience that's going to tune in? Like, I don't think anyone in my audience really cares about Ring of Honor. There's a lot of times where I posted about Impact and a lot of people don't care. I did Talk Shop on Mania. I don't think that did very well on my account at all, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it, but I don't think a lot of people cared. So you really have to find that balance of things. So even for me, for the most part, watching Ring of Honor and watching Impact is not worth it for me. Andre says, did you see Cass's physique, by the way? He's in great shape. Yes, he looks great. Alex says, do you actually have merch? No, I do not. Not at the moment, no. Raphael says, well, to be fair, he did say that he was putting things in the words of his relative. He was talking normal for the rest of the promo, so I don't think it's anything to worry about. Yeah, I hope so. Flash says, I didn't get the Enzo thing in your stories. So we went to an FYE bias. It's a store it's called FYE, and it stands for 4 Year Entertainment. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. Like, they have like CDs there, they have movies and DVDs and like seasons of shows, they have Funko Pops, and just kind of like some nerdy stuff too. Like, they have Dragon Ball statues and like Batman statues and stuff like that. We were walking around and they had these big Enzo and Big Cass pillows that were like on super sale, and I just thought it was funny because they haven't been with the company for so long. And then I'm walking down a little bit further, then they have socks that are only $2 and like all this other stuff. So I just thought it was really funny. That's why I shared it. Basili says, and if you don't buy from AW Shop, then there's only one word to describe you, and I'm going to spell it out for you. SAWFT, soft. Yes. Matthew says, what do you think of Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston winning feud of the year? I thought that feud was great. I'm not mad at it. We haven't gotten to that point yet, though. Marcel says, remember when Roman cut that suffering succotash promo? Oh, God. God. James says, Lacey Evans is really pregnant. Your thoughts? Happy for her. Congratulations to her and her husband or whatever. That's awesome. Happy for her. Charles says, what are your thoughts on Kenny's one-winged angel being the best finisher of the year? We'll get there. We are going to go through most of this list. So that is one that we will talk about. Maddie says, what is a Ring of Honor? Is it similar to the Medal of Honor? Do only people who serve get to wrestle? Do people who get served free tickets? Do people get served a ring? Yeah, I don't think many people are into Ring of Honor, which is a shame. Yeah, EC3 just signed to Ring of Honor, I believe, which is cool. Matthew says, you don't have to watch Ring of Honor if you don't have to. I'm just saying that they've completely turned their product around as of late. Yeah, so what the only thing I'm trying to say is that Ring of Honor could be fantastic, but people don't know because they don't watch. That's all I'm trying to say. I have nothing against Ring of Honor. It's just that I've tuned in a couple times. I wasn't impressed with what they've done, and I'm busy, like watching all of these other shows as well. So Not to knock on anything that they do. I'm sure that they have a lot of very talented people there. I'm sure that their commentators are great as well, but I'm telling you from just a bigger standpoint of that most people probably just don't watch it. Since the Elite left, they kind of, when they packed their bags and left, they probably lost a lot. They didn't seem to be in a great spot. Then Marty Scurll came, Booker Man, and it seemed like they were on a good trajectory from that. But then, of course, the stuff happened with him and yada, 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 yada. So I don't know what current state they're in right now. Raphael says, yeah, to be honest, I would never really consider watching something like Ring of Honor or Impact. Just not interested. And, so the thing with Impact is that I think Impact is great. There's a lot of very, very, very talented people at Impact. The wrestling is pretty good. Pretty good. There's just something missing. I always feel that way with Impact. There's something missing from Impact TV shows that I can't understand what it is, but it's missing something that is kind of, it's making me not tune in to Impact, and I don't know what it is. Not quite sure what it is. Matthew says, I agree with that. You could be the best product in the world, but if nobody watches, then it doesn't matter. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, that's all I was trying to say. And I'm sure that people at Ring of Honor are great. I'm sure they are. They just signed EC3, and man, EC3 is killing it. Killing it with his promos and his videos and all of the stuff he's doing. I love where EC3 is at. No Hack says, I'm a super big Impact mark, and I would love if everyone watched Impact, but people have different tastes. Yeah, like I said, there's something missing from Impact, and I don't know what it is. It's not fans. It might be stars. It might be their lack of star power, but I'm not sure. It's very hard to tell. Oh, your boy Philip is here. Welcome, Philip. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. James says, is Becky Lynch not on the list? No, she is not on the list. She was not, she didn't wrestle in 2020, really. What, she left in, March? Chloe says, the keeper of apples, Philip. Beautiful. Beautiful. Matthew says, I'm about to go to sleep. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in, Matthew. Good to see you, my friend. Have a good rest of your night. May 11th. Yeah, so she hasn't been on TV for over half the year. Okay, so let's continue on with this best interview. Or no, we're done with best interviews. We're done. We finished that one. Okay, so to go over best interviews once again before we move on to the next one, because the next two might get a little interesting here. So best interviews, the winner for this is Eddie Kingston, number 2 Jon Moxley, 3 MJF, 4 Cody Rhodes, 5 Chris Jericho, 6 Taz, 7 Roman Reigns, 8 Jay White, 9 Pat McAfee, and 10 Randy Orton. No complaints. All right, here we go. Buckle up, everyone. It's about to be a bumpy ride here. It is about to get into 2020 promotion of the year. Ooh, I think a lot of people were really mad about this one. Promotion of the year for 2020 goes to AEW. To no surprise. And I agree 100%. For me, AEW was, without a doubt, the 2020 promotion of the year. Easily. James says Tropicana Field is the largest backstage area in WWE history, I would believe. Interesting. No Hack says Impact doesn't have many stars, but I think that's why I like it more. It gives you a good feeling when someone gets super over or a big shine because they have so much talent. I could see that. I could see that. Shane says, I was watching Brian Alvarez list his top 10 nominees for Wrestlers of the Year, and no WWE star was on the list. It was just New Japan or AEW stars. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with that. They wrestle on those shows. They really, 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 really wrestle. So you have to realize that the different people like different styles of wrestling. Just because Brian Alvarez is top 10 wrestlers doesn't include a WWE one. Doesn't really matter. What if I gave you a list of my top wrestlers of the year and they were all WWE superstars? No, it don't matter. Like, everyone has their own personal tastes. Marcel says, realistically, who else should have gotten it? No one. No one. AEW was the standout star of 2020, for sure. Not only did they have really good shows, really good pay-per-views, asterisks on that one, good feuds, knocked down the Forbidden Door. Like, I guess that happened in 2021, but AEW did really good. But most importantly through this whole thing, when the pandemic started, Tony Khan had the instinct to film as much content as possible. So when the pandemic happened and people weren't able to group up and film these things, AEW had a month's worth of content to work from. Their shows, while maybe some of them could have or were probably filler matches and stuff like that, they didn't do any bullshit to take you away from anything. AEW was on top of it. And more importantly than anything, they're a brand new promotion, and during the pandemic, they did not fire anyone. No one got fired because of the pandemic. That's fantastic, considering the conglomerate the WWE is laid off 40, 50, 60 people because of the pandemic. All while boasting record profits at the very exact same time. AEW is 100%, no doubt, no questions about it, the promotion of the year for me. Easy. Easy. No questions about it. Flash says, no surprise for me when you say Brian Alvarez, but it's okay. It's just one man's opinion. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Raphael says, yeah, AEW definitely deserves it. WWE weekly shows usually leave a more negative reaction than a positive, especially Raw, so it kind of can't be promotion of the year. Yeah, WWE, I can't even believe that they're number 3 on this list, to be honest with you. Alex says, did they separate NXT from WWE? I'm not sure. NXT is not on this list, but WWE is. So I would imagine they're probably bundled together. And if that's the case, I would assume that's why WWE is pretty high on this list as well. Philip says, the only reason I was WWE because the Nexus and Carlito and Edge. There you go, man. You got Edge. You got Edge back on SmackDown and Raw. Good stuff. Probably going to be on SmackDown a lot now, but yeah. Marcel says New Japan Pro Wrestling wins like every year for 8 years, but they had a very weak 2020. So yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that that New Japan has been pretty weak as of late. I've seen that. James says, I just can't wait for the AMA Q&A. Here's my question. How did you meet your fiance? We had mutual friends and had known each other for a little bit, for a couple years, off and on. And then finally just happened. EWE says they fired 3 people, but it was not pandemic related. They did not let those people go because of the pandemic. The and I'm not even sure who the 3 people are. I know of 2. One was Jimmy Havoc, and that was for his own issues. And I can't remember who the second person was. Was it one of the girls that was stuck in like Australia or something like that? But it was not COVID related. Not COVID related. Shelvis says, yeah, WWE was wild for that. Yeah, I cannot believe that they did that. And I can't believe that maybe they haven't recovered from it, but man, insane. Absolutely insane how they were able to recover from that. Like, I thought that they would have gotten buried for doing such a terrible thing. Obi James says, funny you mentioned that. That's the most disgusting tactic. Yeah, I'm glad that that's on the list. No Hack says, I honestly think wrestling needs more filler matches. I like watching random matches with nothing on the line. Probably why I like Dark so much. Yeah, so I would add on to that and say that I would call them exhibition matches. Shorter matches, 5 to 10 minutes long, that are only made to pad someone's win and loss record. That's all. That's all. That's what I would do if I were Booker, man. Jaden says, how are you tonight, Keeper of Truth? I am good, man. I am good. How are you doing? Maddie Jackson says, B. Priestley was one. Yes. B. Priestley. Yes, that is it. Jaden says, Kylie Ray. Kylie Ray was not like really released. She wanted to be released. So that wasn't really on them. Kylie Ray had her own problems or has some stuff going on. I'm not sure if that's ever been really discussed, but that was her. That was her doing. James says, do you like the AEW action figures? I do not collect action figures, so I'm not too sure. Marcel says, is Match of the Year award next? No, it's Best Weekly TV Show. Chloe says Humberto is going to officiate the AEW wedding. Yeah, right. That scumbag won't even be let in the building. No way. No way. No Hack says they fired Jimmy Havoc, B. Priestley, and Sadie Gibbs. Okay, there you go. Perfect. So Jimmy Havoc had his own problems. B. Priestley was tied to some stuff with some problems. And Sadie Gibbs, I believed, was trapped in like Australia or something like that. So not bad. Not bad. Marcel says, so many people were mad that AEW didn't win Disgusting Tactic. Are you referring to Matt and Sammy? Vasily says he would probably steal the wedding gifts. 100%. 100%. Okay, so promotions of the year. We already talked about AEW being number 1. Number 2, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Number 3, WWE. 4, Stardom. 5, UFC. 6, Pro Wrestling Noah. 7, Impact Wrestling. 8, Dragon Gate. 9, Ring of Honor. And 10, DDT. James says, BRB, going to go eat some ice cream. Enjoy your ice cream, my friend. Enjoy your ice cream. So to go on more about this promotion of the year, I don't watch Stardom. I don't watch UFC. I've never watched Noah. I watched a little bit of Impact. I've never watched Dragon Gate. I really haven't really watched Ring of Honor, really. And I've never seen DDT. So, yeah. So I can't argue with this list. My list is AEW, New Japan, and WWE. So, yeah. What does DDT stand for? I have no idea. No idea. And I think DDT is the one that does all that weird stuff. Maddie says, I tend to watch most big UFC events, and I do enjoy them a lot. Yeah, I come out of the woodworks for the big UFC and like big boxing things, but other than that, I don't. So yeah, I'm not mad at anything in this list so far, and promotion of the year fits that as well. Not mad at anything so far. Jaden says WTF UFC. If anything, UFC is better than WWE in 2020. I'm a big UFC fan, and they killed it in 2020. There you go. I wouldn't be mad at that either. Marcel says DDT has a lot of range. They can have classics to pure comedy. I've seen a lot of the comedy things. I've seen a lot of those. Maddie says, you're gonna cover Mayweather versus Paul? Probably not. I'll probably watch it and I'll probably post what happens or something like that. But other than that, like, I'm not gonna go in depth to the show or anything, but I'll definitely probably watch it if I remember. Philip says, let's talk about John Morrison, or his old name was Johnny Nitro. That was cool. I like that name. I was hoping to see John Morrison in AEW as like Johnny Elite or something like that. I love how he always just fits his last name with what he's doing. Jaden says, thoughts on Big Cass returning to wrestling with Enzo? He looks great, man. Big Cass looks great. Can't really necessarily say the same thing for Enzo, but Cass looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. Apparently DDP helped him through his things, so hopefully he's on or hopefully he's in a good space right now and doing good things. Marcel says you should watch Nega versus Ibushi from DDT. Is that the one that has all the crazy wild things in it, that they're like in a canoe or something in a river and like shooting fireworks off in a car or something like that? Warrior says it's good to see Cass doing well. It is. It is. Chloe says Johnny Wrestling. Wait, that's not him. different Johnny. Different Johnny. Okay, next up, this one I think people have been a little bit mad about as well. This is for the best weekly TV show. Best weekly TV show. This award goes to AEW Dynamite. No complaints. Marcel says no. Pure Wrestling is their first match ever, only 2. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out sometime. I'll have to check that out. Jade says, do you ever think Enzo or Cass will return to WWE? Probably not. Probably not to WWE or AEW. If I had to guess, I would guess no. So best weekly show, AEW Dynamite. Yeah. I think they're right. What else would be here? You could maybe argue NXT, if that's what you're into, but to me, Dynamite had the bigger impact overall for the week. I think that they had the more enjoyable moments and stuff like that. So I would go with AEW for sure. For sure. So he says rigged. Raw with all the good rematches and lame segments they gave us. Raw is not even on the list, actually. It's not even on the top 10 list, which is funny. Marcel says NXT won the awards every year until AEW. Yeah, I think that AEW has really kind of swooped in and they've given us a kind of like a hybrid between NXT and like a main roster WWE. So like AEW is perfect because you get the really good wrestling, but then you get the storylines, you get the gimmicks, you get all of that stuff on the show as well. Whereas NXT is mostly like, it's just pure wrestling for the most part. Like there's stories and stuff like that, but it's, for the most part, it's just pure wrestling. So to me, Dynamite appeals more. I like the stories. I like the antics and stuff like that. Shelva says, we all know that Raw is the best. Maddie says, out of the shows I watch or keep up with, AEW, NXT, SmackDown, Impact, Raw, and Dark. Not bad. Mine would be very similar. For me, this list would be AEW, NXT, SmackDown, and then Raw. That would be my list. I don't watch Dark. I've never watched Dark. I don't really keep up with Impact or anything else. So, Flash says, I agree. Dynamite is a pretty balanced show. Yeah, they have a lot of wrestling. The wrestling is typically pretty good on the shows as well. And they have interesting stories. Interesting stories. Let's see here. Shane says, in order, AEW Dynamite, Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Sleep Fest. No NXT for you, Shane. No NXT, huh? Marcel says AEW is WCW 2.0 in a good way. Sting, Big Show, Tony Schiavone, Jericho, Tully, Arn, and you got the Rhodes family. Yeah, I see a lot of people always say that AEW is WCW 2.0, and I think they try to make it like in a bad way, like that they're WCW 2.0 because they're just going to crash and burn. But it's like WCW was very good at one point, and I get the feeling that they aimed to be somewhat similar to a WCW. You can tell. Shane says, haven't watched NXT in a while. Watch highlights. No worries, man. No worries. Bob says Dark has too many matches. Well, hopefully they announce some stuff for this week. I think what they might be doing is splitting Dark into two different shows. I think maybe that will help out a little bit. Philip says, did you hear about RVD return before WrestleMania 37? I have not. Marcel says WCW 1996 through 1998 was apparently the peak. Yeah, I've gone through and rewatched some of it. Because I was a WWF fanboy as a kid, so I didn't really watch a lot of WCW before the Attitude Era, which is when WWF started taking over WCW. So my WCW knowledge kind of comes from around that similar time. I would always do the... I don't know if TVs have them anymore, but they used to have the last button on them. So what I would do is I'd put my TV onto Raw, and then I would put my TV onto Nitro as well. And then you just push the last button, and it just literally just flip-flops between the channels. So I would watch Raw, and then if there was something going on that I didn't have any interest in, I would just go last, and I'd watch WCW, and then I'd just keep flipping back and forth. Chloe says WWF as a kid. How old are you? I am 30 years old. Old man. I'm an old man. Bob says Dark sometimes has 16 matches. That's a lot in a hour span. That's crazy. Flash says, I just noticed that NWA is not appearing in some lists, maybe no lists. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if they're here. No Hack says my remote has a previous button, same thing as the last button. There you go. So that's how I used to watch the Monday Night Wars. Like if there was something on that I didn't like, just boop, switch it over to WCW, check back every couple minutes, see what's going on, and then sometimes I'd just keep watching. Just find something interesting, just go back and forth. It was great. Good stuff. I remember those days. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so best weekly shows. 1 goes to AEW Dynamite. We already know that. Number 2 goes to WWE NXT. No complaints on that one. I do have a complaint about this next one. Number 3 goes to Being the Elite. And if you take BTE as a weekly TV series, sure, I do understand why it's so high on the list, but I would not put BTE in the same category as a weekly wrestling show. Yes, it's a weekly TV show, but I wouldn't include it with the rest of the actual wrestling TV shows. So I would remove that from here. Dark, like I said, I've never watched, but I believe that one does fit in. I believe it fits in. And it's not really fair because Being the Elite is 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is at tops. It's comedy and it's always a good time. So I really don't think it belongs on this list. But you know what? It's not my list. If they want to include it, cool for them. Maddie says, I'm glad that for the Wednesday Night Wars has replays the next day for both shows so I can choose which one to watch, then watch the other one the next day. Yeah, it's nice, right? It's nice. And the cool thing too is that we have social media and stuff now. So if you miss anything on NXT or Dynamite, you can pretty much go to their Twitters and they usually post the videos for them. We didn't have that back in the day. Okay. Back in the day, we didn't even internet was a new thing. We certainly didn't have social media. Man, it would take me 5 minutes to get on AOL back in the day to boot that up with a little, the statics and all of that. We didn't have these fancy smartphones. Crazy. If you miss something on TV, you missed it, which is kind of crazy, in today's world where I don't necessarily people or think that people understand that back in the day, you had to be home and you had to be in front of your TV and you had to be watching it because if you weren't, you would miss it for forever for the most part. forever. They didn't have Raw replays or anything like that back in the day. You were screwed. You just had to wait till till next week's Raw to see what happened. Same with pay-per-views. Man, I will never forget. I love this. There was nothing cooler than buying a WWE pay-per-view back in the day for like $500,000. Like, I think it was like $50-$60, whatever. But it was so cool to have those like Rock and Austin matches and stuff like that. But then my favorite part was the next night on Raw, they would not show you replays of anything. It was pictures. It was only pictures of the event going over it. And I still to this day think that is so cool. It gives it that pay-per-view feel. It's like, bro, you didn't pay you didn't pay the $50 to watch this WrestleMania match. So like, we're not going to show you clips from it. We're just going to give you pictures. Like, to me, that it always felt so big. It felt so cool to see. Like, I love that. I wish that they would do that in today's world as well. It just, I don't know, it just makes it feel bigger. Maybe that's just something for me, since that's what I grew up watching. But man, I loved that. Flash photography is also something that I miss a lot. You know, when someone's doing their finishing move, like Stone Cold's going for a stunner, hits the stunner, and then like the entire crowd is just like pictures flashing or cameras flashing. Whew, man, back in the day was awesome. Awesome. Bob says, I remember hating the fact that when I didn't watch Raw, something cool happened, and when I do, it's boring. Yeah, it sucks back then, right? Sucks. Basili says, AEW, that was my favorite thing as a kid growing up too, was buying WWE pay-per-views. Oh man, it was just so cool. It was so cool. Like, it felt so special back in the day as a kid. It was crazy. Chloe says, I used to buy them without my parents knowing that it'd show up on my cable bill and I had to act shocked. It wasn't me. James says, I'm back. Remember when Kane went corporate in 2003? I do. Philip says, do you remember the core? Wade Barrett and Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Ezekiel Jackson. I do not, because I did not watch wrestling during that time. Maddie says, how many more awards, and is Discord call still happening? Yes. We have one more award to before we get into the B categories, and I'll probably just run through those quickly. If even go through most of them. Bob says, I remember trying to persuade my parents to buy me. It was expensive back in the day, man. It was expensive back in the day. Crazy. Marcel says, do you remember the GOAT El Chorito? I do not. Not ringing a bell. El Chorito versus Hornswoggle versus Heath Slater. Oh God. No. Marcel also says, Good Brothers fucking the Bucks overall. Yes. Yes. Alex says, now it's all $9.99. Yeah, and they screwed themselves going forward because no one's gonna pay for WWE pay-per-views. Not that much. Okay, so 3, being the elite. Number 4, AEW Dark. A lot of people are really mad. A lot of people are really mad about AEW Dark being above SmackDown, which comes in at number 5. 6 is New Japan Strong. 7, Ring of Honor. 8, Impact Wrestling. 9, MLW Fusion. And 10, WWE NXT UK. I feel like this list is going to be very different for every single person. So I'm not mad at it. From this list, I would tell you that the people actually like watching wrestling. That's what I would tell you. They like wrestling from this. Dynamite, NXT, Dark. It's just wrestling. Marcel says, just because the Roman is on the show does not mean the entire show is great. Yes. Couldn't agree more. James says the background looks awesome. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I tried to find a gold one. I was going to try to edit the One Awards one and get like their actual background for it, but it was too much work. Flash says, I've heard good things about MLW. Yes, I have as well. And I've also heard great things about NWA Power. Unfortunately, it's all removed. There's nothing on the NWA YouTube currently. Alex says, can we get a live AOW reaction to We LC? We LC was one of the greatest matches of all time. Oh God. We LC. Full match. El Torito versus Hornswoggle. We LC match. Okay, hold on. Let me turn off my system sound here. I don't want no copyrights. Oh my God. Okay, I have seen El Torito before. I've seen him before. Extreme Rules TLC or WLC 2014. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'll have to watch that. I'll have to watch that sometime. That's funny. Raphael says, if they just like wrestling, then why is BTE so high? This is the part of the list that makes it hard for me to take this stuff seriously. I would say because AEW is their favorite show and they're very tied in with the AEW characters and stuff like that. That's why I would put BTE up there so high for someone who likes wrestling. That's all. And there's no Raw on here, which, you know, the wrestling's not great on that show. Sometimes there's a lot of good wrestling on SmackDown. So that's how I would make that connection with BTE being in there for someone that really likes wrestling. I've never seen an episode of Strong before, Ring of Honor, or MLW, or NXT UK for that matter. I've just watched matches for them. So I don't know. I feel like this Best Weekly TV Show is going to be vastly different for like almost everyone. Almost everyone. So I don't know. I can't argue with that. Okay, this is going to be the last one here that we're going to go in depth in. This is Match of the Year. Match of the Year winner goes to Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus the Young Bucks at AEW Revolution. No problems with that whatsoever. I loved this match a lot. It was very meaningful. The story behind it was incredible. I loved it. Number 2, Kazuchika Okada versus Kota Ibushi, New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 1. Number 3 was FTR versus the Young Bucks at AEW Full Gear. This match, huge as well. Number 4, Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito, New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 2. Number 5 is Ilja Dragunov versus Walter. This was NXT UK in October of 2020. This match was incredible as well. They beat the hell out of each other. Number 6, Kota Ibushi versus Minoru Suzuki, New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax Night 13. Number 7 is Hiromu Takahashi versus Will Ospreay. This was at New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 1. Number 8 is Go Shiozaki versus Takashi Sugiura at Noah Final Chronicle. Number 9 is the Stadium Stampede at AEW Double or Nothing. And number 10 is Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus MJF, Ortiz, and Santana. And this was the AEW Dynamite Brody Lee tribute show. No Hack says, I gotta go. I might be able to make it back. Probably not. Good night, AEW. Thank you, man, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Let's see here. Philip says, so you don't remember the core, but you remember the Nexus, not the core. Look it up on your phone. Type in the core. I've seen all that stuff, but I just did not watch wrestling. I did not watch WWE during that time. Marcel says, Raphael, early 2020 AEW was peak AEW. Raphael says, wasn't watching AEW at the time, so I can't speak on that, but from what I've heard, it's amazing. Let's see here. Kobe says, I'm surprised Sasha vs. Bailey at Hell in a Cell isn't on there. Yeah, I mean, you know, I can't say it. I guess I'll say it again, but I don't watch most of these shows. So, I did actually watch Wrestle Kingdom. I missed the G1 Climax this year. I did see this NXT UK show. I did not see this Noah show. But I'm not mad at this match list. I'm not mad at him. Number 10 is surprising as well. That tribute show was just incredible. I think it will have a very special place in everyone's hearts for forever. It was very meaningful. Warrior says no complaints here. That tag match was absolutely phenomenal. It was so good. Marcel says the 6-star match got number 1. It was so good, man. I should go back and rewatch Omega and Page versus the Young Bucks. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Raphael says the 2020 Royal Rumble match should definitely be there. I mean, these are very different. Very different. I mean, I guess you could make that argument because the Stadium Stampede is in there, which was pretty chaotic, but the Stadium Stampede was awesome too. That was really good. Chloe says, all right, I'll be back. Hopefully I got to go get food. No worries. No worries. Enjoy your food. Enjoy your food. So that is all of the category A awards. And I have no complaints with any of those. Okay. So I'm going to go through these really quickly. I'm just going to tell you the winners for these. And if there is one that I feel like we should discuss, we'll talk about that one. And we need to open up Discord before we go here. Flash says, what about the Boneyard match? Yeah, it was not on there. Not on match of the year. I think there's some other stuff though. There might be a cinematic one, I think. So, okay. Category B awards. US Canada MVP goes to Jon Moxley. I'll do the top 3. I'll do the top 3 for these. US Canada MVP goes to Jon Moxley as number 1, 2 Kenny Omega, and 3 Cody Rhodes. Japan MVP 1 goes to Tetsuya Naito, 2 Kota Ibushi, and 3 Go Shiozaki. The Mexico MVP number 1 goes to Rey Fenix, 2 is Laredo Kid, and 3 is Pagano. The Europe MVP goes to Walter, number 2 Will Ospreay, and number 3 Zack Sabre Jr. Non-heavyweight MVP goes to Hiromu Takahashi, 2 Rey Fenix, and 3 Darby Allin. Women's MVP goes to Bayley. Number 2 goes to Mayu Iwatani, and 3 goes to Sasha Banks. Marcel says Dave Meltzer disagreed with 3 awards: the Mexico MVP, Best Announcer, and Best Boo. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen anything about that. Basili says my favorite part of that match was when Adam Page showed up riding on a horse. Yes, that was incredible. That was incredible. Best box office draw. Number 1 goes to Conor McGregor, 2 Jon Moxley, and 3 Chris Jericho. Feud of the year. Number 1 goes to Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in AEW. 2 Cody Rhodes versus Brody Lee, and 3 Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. These are all I'll name all of these actually because these are pretty interesting. So number 4 is Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho. 5 is FTR versus the Young Bucks. 6 is MJF versus Cody Rhodes. 7 is Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. 8 is Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. 9 is the Elite versus the Inner Circle, and 10 is Edge versus Randy Orton. James says, why isn't the greatest wrestling match ever on there? Oh, God. I hated that. Marcel says, Conor McGregor is bigger than the entire wrestling world, arguably. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. Raphael says, wait, Conor McGregor, why is UFC sprinkled in here every now and again? It makes no sense. It's a wrestling / MMA award show, apparently. Most improved. Number 1 goes to Britt Baker. Number 2 goes to Giulia. I have no idea who that is. Number 3 goes to John Silver. Raphael says, wait, what was that list you just said with the 10 matches? That was feuds of the year. Feuds of the year. Those 10s were feuds. Zach says, I'm late. How are you, detective? I'm good, man. I am good. We're just kind of wrapping up a category B here, and then we'll bring in Discord and everyone can talk about the whatever the hell they want. I don't care. Whichever ones. Most improved. Number 1, Britt Baker. Number 2, Yulia. I have no idea who that is, so my apologies for probably butchering that. Number 3, John Silver. 4, Tai Chi. 5, Jungle Boy. 6, Brody Lee. 7, Roman Reigns. 8, Tai Conti. 9, Yoshihashi. And 10, Adam Page. I'll do them for all of most charismatic as well. Most charismatic, number 1 goes to MJF. 2, Orange Cassidy. 3, Jon Moxley. 4, Hiroshi Tanahashi. 5, Eddie Kingston. 6, Chris Jericho. 7, Cody Rhodes. 8, Tetsuya Naito. 9, Kenny Omega. And 10, Ricky Starks. The Bryan Danielson Award, aka the best technical wrestler. 1, Zack Sabre Jr., 2, Daniel Bryan, and 3, Jonathan Gresham. Raphael says, bro, the disrespect to Jey Uso, he definitely the most improved. Is he though? I feel like Jey Uso has always been the same person that he is. I just don't feel like he's been given that shine. The Usos have always over-delivered in tag team matches to me. Now he's just in the singles. So I'm not necessarily, I would put that most improved. But Jey Uso has been killing it lately, for sure. Marcel says, did you see MJF tweet on that award? No, I did not. I'm sure he said something rude. James says AEW won most of them. Yes, they did a lot. Alex says, how does Bryan Danielson not win the Bryan Danielson Award? Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny that he was number 2 on that. Warrior says, Jay really showed out his feud with Roman, in my opinion. He did. Jey Uso's been killing it with Roman Reigns. Next up is the Bruiser Brody Memorial Award, aka the best brawler. 1, Jon Moxley. 2, Tomohiro Ishii. And 3, Brody Lee. Best flying wrestler, number 1 is Rey Fenix. I don't think anyone is going to complain about that one at the moment. 2, Will Ospreay. And 3, Hiromu Takahashi. Most overrated, aka the most overpushed. Number 1, Bray Wyatt. Number 2, Evil. Number 3, King Corbin. Number 4, Nia Jax, aka Big Oof. Number 5, Braun Strowman. Number 6 is your boy Goldberg. 7, Cody Rhodes. Number 8 is tied with Seth Rollins and The Miz. And number 9 is Charlotte Flair. Anthony, we're just going over the B list very quickly. Zach Stone says, Wyatt, they sure. Okay. Let me try to explain what I think is going on here with Bray Wyatt. The Fiend was featured heavily through WWE content through 2020. And while he was featured a lot, he didn't really do much. Unfortunately, everything that he did was the same thing every single week in and week out. And I mean, the elephant in the room, with the Universal Championship, Father Rollins, Goldberg. I hate to mention it, but he didn't have that great of a year, and it's not because of Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, in my opinion. And Marcel says that the Fiend won Best Gimmick in 2019 for the same awards. So I would put this towards booking. The Fiend did absolutely nothing in 2020, and he got fed to Goldberg. It just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. His feud with Randy Orton has been blown out of proportion. It's gone on way too long. That's the argument that I would make for this. That's why I'm not mad at this. I I know that a lot of people didn't like Evil being pushed in New Japan either and stuff like that. And the other ones I think are pretty straightforward. I have no problems with Cody Rhodes, and I have no problems with Seth Rollins or The Miz. I wouldn't have put them on my list, but the rest of them I think belong there. Just fine. Just fine. Chloe says, where's Abby the Witch? I got some censored curse words for this list. Yeah, I loved that. That was so good. That was so good. Zach says, if that's what they mean by it, then I completely understand, but he's certainly not number one. Top 5 for sure, definitely not number 1. Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's all everyone's opinion, you know. Maddie says, I disagree. The Fiend has been great all year besides the elephant named Bill in the room. You know, I mean, losing the title and then just so my problem with the Fiend that I've talked about a couple of times is that he just does the same thing. It's always the same thing. It's always like 3 or 4 episodes of the Firefly Funhouse. Most of the time, nothing really happens with them. There's no development in anything. And then the Fiend scares someone, and then someone gets the mandible claw. I mean, the Fiend is very, very, very cookie cutter. Very cookie cutter. And it's a shame because they could do pretty much anything with him. So those are my complaints for Bray Wyatt in 2020, and I hope that they fix that for this coming year. Marcel says the Fiend is polarizing. More casual WWE fans enjoy him, but more hardcore WWE and wrestling fans hate him. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. If you're looking for like hardcore wrestling, you're not going to find it in Bray Wyatt or the Fiend. Wally says, I can agree, but when I saw comments on it and they say it's because he's a shit wrestler, when his character is basically just for the stories. I would assume that maybe those people don't necessarily know what they're talking about then. I've said it a million times that the Fiend is all story. The Fiend is story based. If you're looking for some 6-star classic, you're not going to find it with the Fiend. It's all story. And that's why I would say that probably my favorite Fiend feud was the one with the Miz. It was very short. It was very last minute, but it was very meaningful. A lot of very interesting and unique things happened with it. And I think they knocked it out of the park there. Philip says, look up the core on your phone. I'll do it after the show. After the show. I'm familiar with the core, but I did not watch wrestling in those years. Raphael says, how do they have Cody in MVP and stuff, but also most overrated? Also, I definitely have Nyla Rose there, maybe even Otis because he was a comedy act when he won the Money in the Bank. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about some interesting things too, because the list is very interesting with things. They have JR on... JR is number 4 on the best commentators list, and he's number 4 on the worst one as well. Elijah says Bray Wyatt is a good ass wrestler. If people think Bray can't wrestle, they're crazy. I think these people have a different expectation of wrestling. I mean, it's kind of clear that these people cater towards AEW and New Japan style of wrestling, which is mostly different than what we see. Most underrated, I'll name all of these as well. Most underrated, aka the most underpushed. Number 1 being Ricochet. 2, Chad Gable. 3, Matt Riddle. Number 4 is tied for Cesaro and Mustafa Ali. 5, Keith Lee. 6, Tomohiro Ishii. 7, Rey Fenix. 8, Toa Henare. And 9, Aleister Black. I think most people are not going to be mad at this list whatsoever. This list is very solid. I have no idea who Toa Henare is, but the rest of them, very solid. No arguments for me whatsoever. None. Marcel says, what has Nyla done to be overrated? She had a couple of title matches and did good, and then Maria vs. Nyla is awesome. Warrior says, I'm more for gimmicks, which is probably why I love the Fiend. That larger than life personality is what got me into wrestling. I always think that there's going to be a perfect balance. But I agree. I think that a lot of the times you need some of that for other things. I mean, that's why Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, Shawn Michaels, you know, all of those other people are there because of that as well. Manish says, what about Pride and Powerful? They are not on there. Not on there. Raphael says, notice how they're all from WWE. Proof that WWE has no idea what they're doing. Also 100% agree with Ricochet being number one. Yeah, I mean, look at, all you have to do is look up Ricochet in NXT and look up Ricochet now with what's going on. Philip, I know the core. I know the core, my friend. I know. I am familiar. Like I said, I'm familiar with them. I did not watch during those times. That's all. Chloe says, did Aleister Black even wrestle in 2020? I believe so. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the last Aleister Black match. Aleister Black. The last time that Aleister Black wrestled was in October 12th of 2020. He wrestled a lot in 2020, by the way. He had 44 matches in 2020. 44 matches. Bob says, remember when Ricochet and Cedric were a tag team at the beginning of the year? That was crazy. Crazy. Good Lord. All right. Rookie of the year. Sure. I'll read these as well. How many more are there? Damn, there's a lot. Oh, there's not that many more. Okay. So I think the way that we're doing them is fine. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to try to blast through a couple of these. All right. Rookie of the year. Number 1 goes to Pat McAfee. 2, Anna Jay. 3, SB Kento. I have no idea who that is. 4, Dominic Mysterio. 5, Top Flight. 6, Will Hobbs. 7, Benjamin Carter. 8, Blake Christian. 9, Alan Angels. And 10, Yuki Mashiro. Best non-wrestler goes to Taz as number 1. Number 2, Paul Heyman. 3, Don Callis. 4, Tony Schiavone. 5, Jake Roberts. 6, Adam Pearce. And 7, Zelina Vega. I would make a very heavy argument to put Zelina Vega as number 1 here. I would 100% put her. I mean, I would make the argument for her because she led WWE in the pandemic. I'm a huge fan of Zelina Vega. Marcel says Taz win because of his dark commentary, which is also legendary. Very legendary. Maddie says MVP should appear on this list. I wouldn't be mad at that either. MVP is great. The Hurt Business is great. Don Callis. Does Don Callis necessarily belong in this list? I don't really think so, right? I mean, at least for me. Don Callis? What did Don Callis do in 2020? Am I missing something? Alex says, but MVP wrestles. Yes, kind of, yes. I mean, Zelina Vega did as well. Zelina Vega wrestled last year. Marcel says Don Callis belongs to the 2021 list. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not sure what he did in 2020, so that one's a little interesting. Warrior says Callis didn't really do anything until 2020 was already over. Okay, there we go. Flash says maybe as Impact commentator, but I can't stand Don Callis. Don Callis did the screw job. I'm not quite sure. Best television announcer number 1 goes to Excalibur, so that's really cool for him. That's really cool for Excalibur. I've really been enjoying Excalibur as a commentator. Number 2, Kevin Kelly. 3, Tony Schiavone. 4, Jim Ross. 5, Mark Pickering. 6, Hugo Savinovich. 7, Wade Barrett. 8, Chris Jericho. 9, Ian Riccoboni, which I believe Matthew was here talking about how he thought that Ian Riccoboni deserved to be higher on this list. So he is actually on this list. Number 10, tied Jay Church and Samoa Joe. Interesting list. Marcel says Meltzer disagreed with this one. Who did he have as number 1? Who did Dave Meltzer have as number 1 here? Philip says my favorite is the Nexus in the core, but what about Carlito, man? What about Carlito? Kevin Kelly is number 1. I could see that since they're New Japan. I could see that. Raphael says Corey Graves disrespect. Also, I've never heard of like 7 of these dudes. I personally like Corey Graves, but there's a lot of people that don't. So I'm not sure if I'm in the minority for that one, but I see a lot of people always shitting on Corey Graves and his commentary. I like it. And I guess telling you the worst television announcers is going to help answer some of those questions. Number 1, Michael Cole, and I 100% agree because I'm so sick and tired of this man screaming at me all day and all night. Like, come on. Stop screaming, all right? Number 2, Corey Graves. 3, Beth Phoenix. 4, Jim Ross, which I thought this was funny because Jim Ross is number 4 on the best television announcer as well. Very interesting. 5, Josh Matthews. 6, Byron Saxton. 7, Tom Phillips. 8, Madison Rain. And 9, Vic Joseph. Is Tom Phillips a bad commentator? I don't hate Tom Phillips as a commentator. I'm not necessarily sure I would have put him on this list, but I don't know. Marcel says Corey Graves is sassy. It's boss time. I love when Corey Graves just disrespects Sasha Banks. I think it's so funny. I'll never forget it when he's like, "Hey, if you have a back, Sasha Banks will stab you in it." I love it. It's funny. Alex says Wade Barrett isn't on the list either. He is on the best television announcer. He's number 7. Number 7 on the best. Best major wrestling show. This one's pretty interesting. Marcel says they don't like WWE commentary because it's heavily robotic. It is. It is very, very robotic. So best major wrestling show. Number 1 is AEW Revolution. Number 2, New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 1. Number 3 is New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax Night 13. Number 4 is AEW Dynamite, the Brody Lee tribute show. Can't complain about that. Can't complain about that at all. Number 5, AEW Double or Nothing. Number 6, AEW Full Gear. Number 7, New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 2. 8, the 2020 WWE Royal Rumble. And number 9, NXT TakeOver Portland. That's where I'm from, and I was at that event, so I was very happy to see that one on this list. That was really cool. I liked that. I liked that a lot. No complaints here. I thought the Royal Rumble was good. TakeOver Portland was good. The AEW pay-per-views were good, except for one of them. Notice how that one wasn't on there. Oh, now let the fun begin. Marcel says, but the Revolution had the tag match. Yeah, and I loved that. Obi James says, realistically, the Brody Lee show should have been number 1. I wouldn't argue with that. I will remember that show for the rest of my life. I really will. It was great. Everything that they did for that family was fantastic. So I will 100% always remember that. All right. So time to get to the worst major wrestling shows of 2020. And I bet you I know who's going to pretty much dominate this one. WWE. So, number 1, the WWE Super Showdown. Number 2, WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Oof. Number 3, WWE WrestleMania 36 Part 2. It is very sad to see WrestleMania in the worst major show list. Very sad. Number 4, WWE Money in the Bank. Number 5, AEW All Out. All Out. I feel like All Out. Should All Out be higher on that list? All Out was a pretty brutal show. Anyways, it's on the list at number 5. Number 6, WWE Survivor Series. Number 7, WWE WrestleMania 36 Part 1. And number 8, WWE TLC. Marcel says All Out had great matches though. Yeah, I liked some of All Out, but I didn't like a lot of All Out either. I did not like the Britt Baker and Big Swole match. That was not good whatsoever. The Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara thing was really hard to watch as well. Okay, so speeding through the rest of these so we can get to Discord here, because we're already past 2 hours and I do want to make sure to get that done. Best wrestling maneuver. Number 1, the one-winged angel for Kenny Omega. 2, the buckshot lariat from Adam Page. 3, the buckshot V-trigger from Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Number 4, the Kamigoi from Kota Ibushi. Number 5 is tied for the paradigm shift Jon Moxley and the hidden blade from Will Ospreay. Number 6, Stormbreaker from Will Ospreay. 7, coffin drop from Darby Allin. 8, pumping bomber from Shingo Takagi. 9, whirling candy from Mizuki. And 10, black arrow from Pac. Marcel says, LOL, that top 3. Yes. The top 3. 1, Kenny Omega. 2, Adam Page. 3, Kenny Omega and Adam Page combined. Elijah says TLC should not have been on that list either. I can't remember if TLC was good or not. I can't remember. OB James says surprised that Claymore wasn't on there. Yeah, kind of interesting. Elijah says, did you go over the worst gimmick of the year yet? No, we have not. We'll get to that in like 2 seconds. Most disgusting promotional tactic. WWE firing everyone during a pandemic. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Number 2, WWE operating without COVID testing. Number 3, WWE banning talent from third-party opportunities. 4, WWE running in Saudi Arabia. 5, AEW continuing Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. 6, Rey Mysterio losing his eye angle. 7, Dana White attempting to run a show on a Native American reservation. Number 8 is tied with WWE continuing to employ wrestlers with sexual misconduct allegations and Bushiroad handling the death of Hana Kimura. 9, WWE turning Drake Maverick firing into a storyline. Marcel says the WWE fans were mad at this one. I mean, hey, all of these are very, very disgusting tactics and stories and yada yada yada. They should be ashamed about all of these. Like everyone should be ashamed about all of these. Everyone should. Not a single one of these is good. None. The WWE had a lot of very bad ones as well. Like number 6, Rey Mysterio losing his eye. You can argue that like that's not the craziest thing in the world, but the other WWE ones are crazy. And the AEW one was brutal as well. Like watching Matt Hardy continue after that match was crazy. Raphael says that worst pay-per-view list is an example of people being biased against WWE. That's where I get annoyed. So that's where I'll just remind you that this is other people's personal opinions and it shouldn't affect any other thing that you do. You know, some of these people may be more or are obviously more skewed towards AEW and New Japan stuff. So they obviously prefer those. So those are obviously going to be higher up on their lists. That's all I would say. That's all I would say about that. Marcel says not hiring Carlito in 2021 should win most disgusting for next year. I agree. They should. Worst television show. Number 1 is WWE Raw. No complaints about that. Number 2 is Impact Wrestling. Number 3, WWE SmackDown. 4, Ring of Honor. And 5 is tied for WWE NXT and WWE 205 Live. I would kind of disagree with this one a little bit. I'm trying to figure out, like, maybe take off SmackDown on that one, maybe, because it's really hit or miss on that one. And I would not put NXT on that one either. I wouldn't put NXT on that list. Raw being the worst show is without a doubt 100%. Philip says, goodbye, Carlito. Always going to be my favorite. Good night, Philip. Thank you for tuning in, man. We appreciate it. And we're so thankful that you have finally been found and someone reported you to the front desk. Thank you so much, man. Bob says NXT and SmackDown. Raphael says Ring of Honor over SmackDown. Yeah, I disagree with this one. I do disagree with this one. Although sometimes I feel like SmackDown gets a boost that it doesn't deserve just because Roman Reigns is on the show and his segments are really good. Sometimes, aside from that, SmackDown is a steaming pile of shit, but I don't think it belongs on worst television show. I don't. I probably would have cut my list to being Raw, Impact, and Ring of Honor. For me. And to be honest, my worst television show list would just be Raw. That's all I would put on there. I don't watch Impact Wrestling enough. I don't watch Ring of Honor or anything like that. Marcel says the problem is that NXT was second for best and SmackDown was fifth. Yeah, it's kind of, some of these are kind of interesting. Manish says, have you seen what numbers Raw, SmackDown, and NXT does in India? Yes, I have. Yes, I saw that. Interesting. Very interesting. So next up is worst match of the year. The number one goes to Braun Strowman versus The Fiend for the WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. This is the Swamp match. Next up is number two is Goldberg versus The Fiend at Super Showdown. 3, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara at All Out. Number 4, Edge versus Randy Orton, WrestleMania 36 Part 2. Not quite sure I agree with that one. Number 5, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus John Cena at WrestleMania 36 Part 2. I don't agree with that one either because I really liked the Firefly Funhouse match. I liked it. I could see God, where did I see that? Maddie Jackson says the Swamp match being number one is ridiculous. So I would agree with that as well. Like, I see both sides here. I wouldn't put Braun Strowman and The Fiend. I wouldn't label that as a match. That was more so of a story. So I would categorize these as their own thing. I wouldn't have put this on here. I wouldn't have put that on there. Marcel says India had a quadruple the population. Impact was doing 14 million over there 8 years ago. Wild. Raphael says, can you repeat that list? Yes. Worst match of the year. Number 1, Braun Strowman versus The Fiend at WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. This was the Swamp match, which was not really a match. So I wouldn't even put this in a category. It was more so a story than anything else. Number 2 is Gold versus The Fiend at Super Showdown. 100% belongs on this list and probably should be number 1. Number 3, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, AEW All Out. I would put this at number 2. Number 4, Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36 Part 2. Was this match bad? I don't remember it being bad. I remember it being long, if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure bad is the correct word. Number 5, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus John Cena, WrestleMania 36 Part 2. This was the Firefly Funhouse match, and I don't agree with this one being on that list either. Number 6, Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet at Super Showdown. Number 7, Jado versus Toru Yano at New Japan Pro Wrestling New Japan Cup Night 1. Number 8, Britt Baker versus Big Swole, AEW All Out. I agree with this one as well. I did not like that. 9, Randy Orton versus The Fiend at TLC. And number 10, Braun Strowman versus The Fiend at WWE SummerSlam. So no love for The Fiend. No love for The Fiend and the matches of the year. Going on quickly, worst feud of the year goes to Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. Number 2, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. 3, Lana versus Nia Jax. 4, Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. 5, Evil versus Tetsuya Naito. 6, Retribution versus WWE. Yes. 7, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. Although I did love the what was it? I can't remember what they called it. The Elite Deletion. I liked the ending to Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. I really liked the Elite Deletion. That was a fun one. I liked that. 8, Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders. God, I hated that. Number 9 is tied. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. God, I hated that as well. And Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. Not mad at those. Not mad at those. Zach says these people really dislike Bray Wyatt, huh? For this year, yes. Last year, The Fiend did very well, from what I remember. Raphael says the match was 45 minutes, and they were kind of just slowly walking around the performance center and hitting each other with weapons. Every once in a while, I think it's fair to say that match was bad. Fair enough. James says move Michael Cole to Raw so we don't have to hear him say it's boss time anymore. It would be an AEW miracle. Oh, but then I wouldn't be able to have my it's boss time gif. Jude the Dude says what was bad about OC versus Chris Jericho? I liked this one, to be honest, as well. I didn't mind it. Didn't mind it at all. Worst promotion of the year. Number 1 goes to WWE. I think everyone agrees with that. WWE gets number 1 for worst promotion of the year. Number 2, Impact Wrestling. 3, Ring of Honor. 4, MLW. And 5, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Best Booker goes to Tony Khan. No disagreement with that. I agree that Tony Khan killed it in 2020. Number 2, Gedo. 3, Nosawa Rongai. 4, Rossi Ogawa. 5, Senshiro Takagi. 6, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H. 7, Hunter Johnson. I have no clue who 3, 4, 5, and 7 are. Did you ever see Sammy versus Matt Pure singles? It was good. Yes, I watched that one. I just didn't like their AEW All Out match. I like the rest of it. Best gimmick. Number 1, Orange Cassidy. 2, Brody Lee. 3, Roman Reigns. 4, Adam Page. 5, Darby Allin. 6, Kenny Omega. 7, MJF. 8, The Fiend. Surprise, surprise on that one. 9, Eddie Kingston. And 10, Dark Order. James says apparently it's Orange Cassidy who is
such good shit.
And The Fiend ends up being
not good shit.
Although The Fiend is number 8 for best gimmick. It's kind of interesting. Shane says instead of Michael Cole saying it's boss time, he should say it's Bob Ross time. There you go. It's Bob Ross time. Marcel says no one in the business getting bigger pops than OC. Yes, Orange Cassidy is a fan favorite. Fan favorite. Worst gimmicks. Number 1 goes to The Fiend. Number 2, Retribution. 3, Alexa Bliss. 4, Seth Rollins. 5, Master Wato. 6, Dexter Lumis. 7, King Corbin. 8, Lana. 9, Great Okan. And 10, Miro. I don't think The Fiend should have been number 1 here. Retribution 100% should have been number 1 for me. 100%. Retribution is god awful. It's terrible. Everything about it is bad. Like really, really, really bad. Worst gimmick. You can't, no disrespect to Father Rollins here. Wow. How dare they disrespect Father Rollins like that? Number 4. Atrocious. Atrocious. Alexa Bliss. Interesting one. Dexter Lumis, number 6. I wouldn't have Dexter Lumis on this list personally. I really like Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis rules, in my opinion. King Corbin, god awful. Man, I would put Retribution as number 1, and I would put King Corbin as number 2. For me, that's how I would do it. Lana, I don't think Lana has a bad gimmick. I just think she's booked like shit. So I don't know. 9, Great Okan. I'm not familiar with him. I've seen him on Wrestle Kingdom, I think, and that's about it. Miro. I know a lot of people aren't happy with this whole video game thing and stuff like that, so maybe that's why he's up there. I don't know. Chloe says Dexter Lumis speaks to my soul. How is he on the list? Yeah, I'm not quite sure on that one. Fiend got all the hate this year. Yeah, I got a little bit of hate for sure, but his booking was terrible this year. It's a shame. It's a shame. Maddie says Loomis kidnapping theory was my biggest pop of the year. Yeah, that's one of the episodes I didn't see, and I saw the gif of it and it was hilarious. Wally P says the people want to see the Fiend do some gymnastics types moves. Yes, I cannot wait to see the Fiend jump over the top rope and do a Spanish avalanche or avalanche Spanish fly. Raphael says I would have put Retribution at 1 and Alexa Bliss at number 2. Her stuff doesn't click with me. It's too weird and nonsensical, like changing gears and stuff, and the way she breaks kayfabe bothers me. Was any of that Alexa Bliss stuff done in 2020 though? I'm not quite sure. What was it? If it was at the end of the year, like the very end of the year. So her being so high up on the list, I'm not quite sure I agree with that either. I do know that there's a ton of people that hate Alexa Bliss though, so maybe that's the case here. Vasily says AOW and Lana is always getting her ass kicked as a jobber. Yeah, it's interesting. Chloe says the Fiend does a corkscrew moonsault off the ship at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens would be crying because of that one. Raphael says, oh yeah, true. Wait, why is she on the list? Was she always her normal self? Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming. But like I said, I think people just don't like Alexa Bliss. I think that's a pretty standard thing. Jude the Dude says, take out the Firefly Funhouse match. What has the Fiend done in 2020? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. I think the Firefly Funhouse match was really split between people enjoying it and not liking it. I think most people didn't like the Swamp match. Most people didn't like the Fiend dropping the title to Gold as well. So, you know, I think he just got the shit end of the stick this year. And that's not his fault. That's WWE's fault. Best pro wrestling book, Killing the Business by the Young Bucks. Actually, do we even need to go over these? Well, whatever. Killing the Business by the Young Bucks. Number 2 is Eighth Wonder of the World by Pat Lamprade and Bertrand Heppert. 3, Under the Black Hat, Jim Ross. 4, Shamrock, the World's Dangerous Man by Jonathan Snowden. 5, Wrestling Observer Yearbook 1997 by Dave Meltzer, which I thought this was funny that this was in here. 6, New Japan Pro Wrestling Year in Review 2020 by Voices of Wrestling. Number 7, Master of the Ring by Tim Hornbaker. Best Pro Wrestling Documentary. Number 1, Dark Side of the Ring, Owen Hart. Number 2 is Dark Side of the Ring, Chris Benoit. 3, WWE The Last Ride. 4, Dark Side of the Ring, Herb Abrams. 5, You Can't Kill David Arquette. I still need to watch that. Number 6 is WWE 24 Edge. Number 7 is tied between Dark Side of the Ring, Brawl for All, and AEW's Road to Full Gear. And number 8, Dark Side of the Ring, New Jack. That is the complete list of the 2020 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. We got through it, and it only took us 2.5 hours to get through. 2.5 hours. It's actually a lot surprising. That took a lot longer than I expected. I really expected to be finishing like an hour, and then have like longer discussions here. So let's go ahead. For those of you, if some of you are still here that want to do the good old Discord stuff, you are more than welcome to. And I guess what we can do is we can just kind of open it up to anything. If you want to talk about a specific award, who you feel like you should, or who you feel like should have won it, or something like that, you're more than welcome to. It is open to that. I think we'll try to limit people to maybe 5 minutes or so. I think about 5 minutes seems fair, so we can get through a couple people here. If there aren't very many people that want to hop on Discord and chat, then we can start going through people again. That is no problem. Let's go for 3 hours. We'll do this for another 30 minutes here. If we have enough people that want to talk, we'll do this for 30 minutes. Here is an invite link to anyone who wants to hop in the Discord and chat with everyone. Make sure you go there. I don't think you have to do anything. And what I will do is I will pull you in as well, and we'll go from there. It should be working. I have not changed anything here. Let's see. Flash says I'm ready, so we'll pull in Flash first. So far we have Flash and Maddie Jackson in here. So Chloe says the Discord server is now AOW Mart, so I'm gonna start saying AOW Mart is now open. We can certainly change the name of it to that. That'd be very funny. All right, so let's pull in the my friend the Flash here. Let me join the on-air group here. All right, let's see if I can move him in. Hello, my friend. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. 1 sec. It looks like you're peaking a little bit. If you want to keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're good. What's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm good.
That is
Having
good.
This
What do you got for
little
us?
conversation.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, I think that this type of awards doesn't really click to me. I mean, having the Fiend winning all the good stuff in 2019 and then being hated in 2020, it's like it's lost. I don't agree with that.
But
I mean,
sorry to interrupt. Okay, but do you think it's really people hating the Fiend or just hating the way that the Fiend has been booked, though?
maybe it's the way the Fiend is being treated.
Because I would make that argument that the Fiend is being seen not as well as last year, because last year he was super hot, right? Came in guns blazing, and then he cooled off. They really didn't do very well with him. So I would make that argument for him being so low on the totem pole this time.
Yeah, it began with Goldberg, and then that bad feud with Strowman, and the way he lost the championship against Reigns. And I mean, I still have faith in the Fiend. I still have faith in Alexa Bliss, but I kind of agree that this feud with Orton is being very long.
Yeah, it's been drawn out way too long for sure. And we're gonna go till WrestleMania for sure at this point.
Yeah, it's very obvious that it's the plan. And I have to, and Orange Cassidy as the best gimmick, I think it's more like it's the most popular wrestler in today's world.
Fair enough.
And I don't see I don't understand how MJF is the most charismatic wrestler in the world. I think he's great. He's a great. He's great in the mic, but he's kind of an ass.
Yeah.
But sure. Maybe it was the dinner debonair that helped MJF in that.
Yeah, very possible. And I think with awards, no matter what, it's always just going to be opinion. Unless they do like a statistics based type award show, like everyone is going to be biased towards a certain thing, like, you know, if that kind of makes sense. So I wouldn't take too much behind any of this stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that I want to talk about the worst match of the year, that having Strowman versus The Fiend in that swamp match. I agree with you with that. As you said, that type of match were more like cinematic rather than an actual in-ring match. So I don't think that they belong there. I mean, maybe there wasn't that good as the one with that swamp match or the Big Swole Britt Baker match. There weren't really, they weren't in ring match, but I don't know. I'm not subscriber of the Wrestling Observer's newsletter, so I don't make the list.
I definitely would have put them in their own. I would have taken cinematic matches and put them into their own thing. And
of course,
I feel like with the Fiend, like the Firefly Funhouse and the Swamp match, like they're not really even matches. So I wouldn't even put them in those categories at all.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard or read some Twitter account that says that I can take seriously these awards because Dave Meltzer is on the list of best pro wrestling books. So okay, it has a point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was like okay, and I saw this tweet that it's very very true, and
Mm-hmm.
I will quote to you if you don't mind.
Sure.
Is the irony in Dave Meltzer saying that the fans have made his awards toxic when he literally has categories for show and worst gimmick? It's ridiculous. You made it toxic.
I mean, I don't know if I would go so far as to say that rating like worst gimmicks and stuff would make things toxic, but I think that when we're talking about promotions and wrestlers and stuff like that, that people are connected to and that people spend 10 hours a week watching, there's definitely going to be people that are always offended and that are going to be toxic online. And I think that it just kind of breeds that, especially when they have so many categories for things.
Sure.
But also, I don't think that anyone should take it so seriously. Like I've said it a million times, like if I did an award show and I let every single person on Instagram vote and pick things, like it would be completely different. And it wouldn't even be towards what I like. Most of my audience likes Raw and SmackDown.
Sure.
You know?
And it's okay. It's okay. You can perfectly love Raw and SmackDown,
Mm-hmm.
and you can perfectly love NXT, and you can perfectly love AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that hating in another company, whatever the company is, it's like, okay, it's just ridiculous. Uh, uh, People don't like the Fiend because he was burned, but like 63 over the top things that Hiromu Takahashi or Will Ospreay likes. Like, okay, it's okay that you love that and hate that, but don't focus so much on the hate.
Yeah, I can see where you're going. I can see where you're going.
Okay. And just to end my participation, because I want to hear the waters of truth. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that the hate, it's just my opinion, that the hate that Alexa Bliss has recently is because she's getting married. I don't know, it's just my opinion. It's just like this personal thought I have. But I can see many people shitting on her
Mm-hmm.
after she announced that she was going to marry Ryan Cabrera.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. There's a lot of people that are weird about stuff like that. So I could definitely agree with that, but I think people have hated Alexa Bliss for a long time.
And she doesn't
not
deserve
me,
it.
not me, but a lot of people have hated on her.
And she doesn't deserve it. She's quite a nice person. The things I've seen in Instagram or Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know her, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
And just to finish, shout out to Chloe, to Raphael, to Ovi James, and of course to Philip.
Yeah, the goat.
The GOAT, Philip.
The goat,
and
Philip.
It's nice to talk and to be part of this chat, man.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have people on. I would love to, and this goes for everyone. Like, if you guys have any more ideas for like some stuff that you'd like to see that involves this, I would love to do it more often. If that means bringing it on for like the Raw and Dynamite and SmackDown post shows, I'd love to do it in a way that doesn't take away from anything and that gives people an opportunity to do it. I would love to do that. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to DM me on Instagram or Twitter or something. Let me know.
Okay, man.
Yeah,
I'm in for it. Well,
thanks,
I think
man.
that
I appreciate your contributions to the show, And if we have a little bit more time, if you want to, we can hop back in as well. All right. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And remember, Hackman Fox.
Yes. Yes, he does. Perfect way to leave there. Okay, so I think that Bob says, AOW, who are the viewers you know have been reoccurring like Philip? Lots of people have been here. Lots of people. Lots and lots and lots of people. Let's see here. We'll pull in Maddie Jackson. So I think Maddie Jackson was first, then KT, and then Anthony. So I'm going to do in that order. Let's see here. All right. How you doing, Maddie? Can you hear me, my friend? We'll wait to see if he can. There he is.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm great. I'm just chilling, hanging out with everyone. Can't be better. Can't be better.
I wanted to talk about the damage that Sasha Banks and Bayley have done to the women's division in WWE.
Okay, sure. Let's hear it.
Because of course they went to Raw, two SmackDown people going after the Raw women's title. It immediately damages all the women on Raw, and then the fact that they won it even does it even more. But they even went to NXT. The only reason that Io Shirai won was because...
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. I heard the only reason why Io Shirai won, and then it cut out.
That's because I have put the talk on and my finger slipped, I guess.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Apologies. So Asuka had to use the Green Mist. That shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have your NXT champion only winning because of someone else interfering, or just don't do the match at all. And as you can see now, Raw has been struggling. Asuka hasn't had a feud in forever. Charlotte just lost her first feud since she came back. The tag division is actually starting to get built up, actually, which is quite nice. It's not being built up well. And SmackDown, after the Bayley and Bianca feud, and Sasha and Carmella, it's now starting to look really weak.
Yeah, I agree.
And Nia Jax, I personally don't hate Nia Jax like a lot of people. Like, she should go back to the Performance Center, but I'm fine with her staying on TV. But she should not be pinning Asuka and Sasha in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that was a really odd choice. Really odd choice.
Yeah, see, I wasn't a fan of Baszler and Jax being a tag team, but I feel like they've just gone all in on it.
Yeah, they certainly have.
But I do think Baszler should be in the singles division and should be a champion. Like, Becky even wanted to lose to Becky. Becky wanted to lose to Baszler at Mania, and Vince made it happen. And maybe that was just because Becky knew she was pregnant, or that's because that she is more of a fan at heart rather than a selfish wrestler.
Yeah. I love it when wrestlers are like fans of putting people over and stuff. I hate it when people are so selfish. Like Daniel Bryan has done wonders in helping putting people over and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if that Cesaro would have had the spot that he had if it wasn't for Bryan.
Yeah. Well, the whole gauntlet thing was Bryan's idea, and it was supposed to be Cesaro, but they didn't do it because of him not signing a contract, so they just gave it to Shinsuke. Crazy.
Which I think was a nice person to choose. I feel like if it was going to be someone other than Cesaro, Nakamura is a good choice.
Yeah, my only problem is that they just completely failed to recognize it ever happened. Now, since Cesaro resigned, they just like don't care. There could be a filler feud in there.
Now he's with Big E though and Apollo Crews, which if that they take him seriously, there it could be good. Maybe a triple threat down the road. But I feel like Crews is coming out as a big star right now. I don't know if that Apollo Crews is actually Nigerian or if that this is another Kofi Kingston Jamaican kind of situation.
Yeah, he's from Sacramento, California. I don't know about his family heritage though.
So he might just be faking the accent like Kofi had to do.
Possibly. I'm not quite sure on his family heritage, but I know he's from Sacramento, California.
He's a good wrestler, so I'm excited to see where he goes.
Me too, man. I've been a huge fan of Apollo Crews for a while. I was very happy for them to do the United States Championship stuff with him, and I'm happy for this heel turn now too. I hope that it works out for him. I really do.
The only problem is that Big E just got the title, and everyone has wanted to see Big E in this position for a while now. So I don't know if he's going to be used after he loses this feud.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And because we've already seen a lot of Big E and Apollo Crews already, as it is. So putting Apollo in this heel position only to have him lose to Big E again kind of doesn't really help him that much. So it's very interesting to see what they're going to do with him.
I'm hoping for at least a match at Fastlane.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if that they do want to use Nakamura, maybe a triple threat at Mania, they can find a way to stretch it out there. Hopefully it can still be entertaining and make sense. But
yeah, I mean they could always do Shinsuke Nakamura versus Apollo Crews at Fastlane to become #1 contender, and then have Apollo Crews win it and face Big E at WrestleMania. It's always a possibility. I know that
they're gonna keep Big E
out. I'm not quite sure if any of this is real or going to happen or not, but a lot of people are saying that Christian might be able to come back and wrestle. Big E owes Christian an Intercontinental Championship match, so that would be a huge WrestleMania match to have Big E versus Christian if it could happen. And it kind of fits with the WrestleMania being with like a current wrestler versus like a legend or someone who doesn't wrestle necessarily anymore for the company. So it would fit that as well. I don't know.
I hope that Jimmy Uso can come back, and if he can, I would love to see Edge and Christian versus the Usos, and then you get Christian versus Big E down the line.
Yeah, that would rule. That'd be great. We couldn't have that for WrestleMania because oh wait, the Usos. Yeah, never mind. My bad. Yeah. Oh well, Edge is challenging Roman. Yeah.
But at Fastlane, I don't know when Uso's going to be back, though. That's the only problem.
It should be any time now, from what I understand. But I think people have been saying that since like early January. Anytime. He's ready. I saw videos of him like running like a madman in training and stuff. And hopefully anytime, man. Anytime.
If that he can come back, if you see Christian going to SmackDown anytime soon, I think that might be what they might build to.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be incredible to see Edge and Christian tag team again. It'd be huge.
I would prefer them not to have a feud after, not break up and then have a Edge versus Christian feud.
Oh yeah, please no. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I would hate to see that. I would hate to see that one.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna back out for now. Let someone else get in. And then I'll stick around and see if I can get back in later.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it. It was nice chatting with you as always. You know, like I said, I appreciate having you in, chatting, and even just in the regular chat and on the voice chat. It's awesome. It's awesome. I appreciate you guys. You're the best.
Have a good rest of the stream.
You too, man. Thank you. All right. So I believe I said that KT was next. Here, let me pull him in here. There we go. How you doing, my friend? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. How's it going, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just chilling, hanging out with all you guys, having a great time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get into this list a little bit and then kind of go off topic.
Sure.
So the list, right? So the list that I had, well, the thing that I had a problem with was with the feuds. I kind of feel like that the subscribers didn't speak on the feud that I personally like, and that was the Mox and MJF feud back in 2020. I feel like that feud was amazing. Like,
yeah, that was a pretty good one.
I feel like MJF was pretty much like doing his best work. Mm-hmm. Like he had the whole presidential campaign and stuff like that. And going into, I forgot what pay-per-view it was, but going into that pay-per-view, I wanted like MJF to win the title because it was just that good. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like they kind of missed the mark. But I mean, MJF is like what, like 23, 24, something like that. So
he's pretty young.
He has all the time in the world to win. Oh, you know what I'm saying, a world title. But I just feel like if I was making a list, that would be at the top of my list. And then the finisher list, like how the paradigm shift wasn't on that list at all, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Best move, Angel. Let me find it here. Okay. So yeah, the paradigm shift was number 5, tied with the Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade. And Raphael says he completely agrees with you. MJF with the lawyer and the campaign and everything, he agrees it was underrated.
Yeah, it was super underrated. I really hope they run that back and then have him win whoever champion. But
yeah, I forgot about that. I do agree with you as well. That was really interesting. Marcel also in the chat wants to ask you if you were on WOR today.
WOR.
I don't know.
What's WOR?
I don't know. He put a U with an asterisk on it, so WUR. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll let you know when he says something else about it.
Yeah, but I feel like the paradigm shift should be like number 1. Like besides, well, probably One Wing Angel and then paradigm shift. But paradigm shift is really He said Wrestling Observer Radio.
Yeah.
Nah, I wasn't. But yeah, and then another thing, it was what's another segment that was on the ballot? Was it the interview section? Wasn't it an interview section on there?
Yeah, there's an interview section, the Eddie Kingston one.
So he was Eddie Kingston was number 1. So are we counting so are promos considered in
I would
that
assume
category?
so. Yeah, I would assume so.
Why didn't anybody put Hangman at number 2? Maybe I missed it.
No, Hangman is not number 2. So I can go over this list really quick again. Best on interviews: number 1, Eddie Kingston; 2, Jon Moxley; 3, MJF; 4, Cody Rhodes; 5, Chris Jericho; 6, Taz; 7, Roman Reigns; 8, Jay White; 9, Pat McAfee; and 10, Randy Orton.
Yeah, I don't agree. I really feel like Hangman should be in that list. Only because the way that they book Hangman, and like every time he loses a match, he has like these drunk type of interviews, and he like doesn't know where he is. Like he's such a good actor. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like he should just be on that list. But
I really loved the whole drinking gimmick and stuff like that. I think it's fantastic. It made me like just love Adam Page. Like I'm totally in for it. I'm totally connected, and I think like it's safe to say the fans were as well. You know, he was drinking beers from the crowd and all that other stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah. Like when fans come back, they're going to be literally begging for Hangman Page to dethrone Kenny. Like I can already see it.
It's gonna be crazy to see actual fans, like not just like fans like AEW is doing currently, but like an actual arena with like 10,000 people in it. The first time we see that, it's gonna be insane.
Like when AEW, I think it was like their first or second show where they actually had like fans back, or like maybe like the first episode where they had like fans like socially distanced, and I was at work and I seen the video of them singing along to to Jericho's entrance. I was literally at work and I got goosebumps. I was just like, this is
crazy,
incredible.
Yeah,
this is like it feels so different. Like even watch I cannot watch okay, so I can watch AEW's product because they have small amount of fans, and then I watch SmackDown and Raw. I'm just like, bro, this is this is not it. Like I can't.
In terms of like crowd noise, is that what you're referring to?
Crowd noise overall? And just like and just over like
Mhm.
they have this big jumbo screen full of people. It's like I thought it'd be cool at first, but now it's starting to get distracting, and they have this fake piped in noise. So it's just like,
yeah, I've never really connected with the Thunderdome. It looks cool. It looks expensive, but to me, it doesn't add anything to it whatsoever.
At least people are not banging on the plexiglass. The plexiglass.
That's the worst. I love that everyone else hates that too, because it drives me nuts. So it's always so good to hear someone else mention that. It's like, oh my god.
Especially when like NXT like was first like going through the whole pandemic, like you would just constantly hear banging like every match. So it was just so annoying. But I'm regardless of how the card looks for WrestleMania, I'm only excited for WrestleMania because it's gonna be fans.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fans. It's gonna be fans there. I'm gonna be excited regardless. WrestleMania is most likely going to be a good show because WWE always puts on decent shows. But as far as booking and how to get there and storyline wise, it's not probably going to be the smoothest ride. But I'm just excited because it's going to be fans there.
Well, and I mean, to go off of that, their last couple pay-per-views have been good.
All right.
I mean, at least to me, I think that they've done a great job with the last one. And for me, like, the Elimination Chamber on paper looked like total garbage. Like, it did not look like it was going to be interesting to me. 2 of the matches, we didn't even know if they're actually going to happen or not, yet they were still promoting them. And overall, I still think it turned out to be a pretty good show. So hopefully they can do that with WrestleMania too. I pray to God for that.
I hope so. So I wonder what they're going to do at NXT. So is there not going to be like a takeover event? This is just 2 nights.
Yeah, they're taking up Saturday and Sunday, so no takeover event. Maybe the week before or after or something like that. But yeah, nothing.
That sucks.
It does.
It's just so many people on the roster, so they have to like just 2 nights, I guess.
Yeah, I hope that the nights are short too.
Yeah,
I feel like they were drawn out last time. I would prefer to have just short, meaningful pay-per-views. They're so much better. So much better.
Yeah. Or like I think it was like a couple streams ago where somebody said they should just do the brand exclusive pay-per-views again.
Mm-hmm.
Just like split them up, like No Mercy for SmackDown, Armageddon for Raw, or like stuff like that. Like that was so much easier to digest, and then you won't be cramming everybody.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the brand split pay-per-views. Have them alternate between them, and then have the big couple ones where everyone comes together.
Right.
Bam, bam, bam. And then you have the, like Survivor Series where the brand split kind of comes together, and then you can have those and they feel more special as well. Yeah. That's how I would do it. I'm not quite sure why people didn't really like that.
Right. That's another thing. Like, I remember growing up and watching Survivor Series, and it was like super special because they were 2 totally different brands. I think it was, which one was it? Survivor Series was it? It was when Batista was team captain and somebody else was team captain. I forgot, like 2007. Anyway, it was when Batista was team captain, and they had like a parking lot brawl. And I think like JBL was on his team or something like that. And I remember watching it. I was like, yeah, this is crazy. Like none of these wrestlers have ever interacted before. And like now Survivor Series doesn't even feel special anymore because it's just like they do so much wild card and flip flopping. Mm-hmm. Like it just doesn't feel special. Like if you look at AEW, like so Hangman and Adam Page had their little match. They haven't crossed paths since.
Yeah.
You get like, so it's just like when you look at WWE product, you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn crossing paths like every other week. You get what I'm saying? So it's just it doesn't feel special. No feuds. So when Kenny Omega and Adam Page actually do cross paths again later on this year, it's gonna feel totally special.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people who were like, oh god, I can't remember who was talking about it, but it was people talking about the feuds and stuff like that, and they were saying that AEW is boring because they're not doing any of these story things, and people are like, just because Hangman and Kenny aren't on screen fighting each other every single week doesn't mean that feud isn't still brewing in the background. Like, they're 100% going to return to this. And the whole reason why Adam Page is where he is right now is because of all that stuff, the loss that drive him to drinking more and all of this stuff. Like, it's the story's there.
Yeah.
The only way to tell a feud isn't to fight each other every single week. Like, there's other ways to do it.
Right. That gets boring. They did like, and I can see, I can watch Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fight 1,000 times, but it does get boring and it does get repetitive. So it's just like, I want to see something different, you know?
Yeah, that's how I got with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. It was like, yes, all of their matches have delivered. I've enjoyed all of them, but at the same time, like, damn, can we have something else, please?
Right. I was talking to my coworker the other day. He pretty much said the exact same thing. He was like, why have Kevin Owens go 0-3 against Roman Reigns? Like, what sense does that make? That made zero sense.
Yeah. I don't think that they have people really lined up. So they just run something into the ground until they can find someone else to put there, and then they just do the same thing over and over again.
What happens when Roman Reigns runs out of challengers? Like, you got Daniel Bryan, and then I guess you could say Cesaro, but I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. They're gonna get to that point pretty quick.
It's gonna be a point in the creative meeting where like, well, we have nobody else.
You know, maybe not having him wrestle anyone would be a decent storyline. Like, I'm the head of the table, and I've beaten all of you, and none of you have proved to be worthy of even challenging me. You could go that route. Have him fight Jimmy and Jay or something like that. But even then, that's going to take its course too.
Right. They got to do better.
They should always be focused on building other people. You know,
building the future.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say like they couldn't lose Roman again?
Right.
You know, they lost Becky and everything. So they got to start focusing on their divisions for the future, not just for today.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I don't want my kids to be watching Roman Reigns in his 50s because you don't have anybody else.
Yes, it's the big dog. Yeah. Right. Oh man. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna pull in Anthony here. So we're a little over 3 hours, but thank you. It was great chatting with you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
And like I said, I would love to do these more often. So if you guys have any ideas, would love to hear it.
Most definitely.
But thanks, man. Have a good rest of your night. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Last but not least, Anthony, how are you doing, my friend? Can you hear me? Chloe says, during the brand split Survivor Series was the only way you can see your dream superstar from one brand fight another. It was so good. Makes everything so much special. Much more special. Anthony, how you doing, my friend? Can you hear me? I can see that you're unmuted, but I cannot see your name getting highlighted.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes. How you doing, my friend?
Okay. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Okay. Okay. I just want to talk about. I want to talk about the Fiend.
Okay.
And it's basically his feuds. Also, I heard of someone else talking about the Fiend. So I don't want to steal their shine there.
Okay.
Anyway. So the Fiend. I like the Fiend gimmick. And literally the only reason why I tune into Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of gives me like the Undertaker gimmick. Because I really think he could be the next Undertaker.
Yeah, 100%.
And the fact that I get the feeling that they're gonna do the same thing with like Roman Reigns retired Undertaker. They're probably gonna do it to the Fiend as well. He's just probably gonna beat up Randy Orton for like 2 minutes, the same thing he did to John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's what I'm afraid of. Also, I like the swamp match that he had, but I could see why they don't like the swamp match because if you go back and watch it, there weren't that much fighting in it.
Yeah, correct. I agree.
Like
I agree.
in the Boneyard match, there was like with AJ Styles, or like a fighting Undertaker literally beating up like AJ Styles like bodyguards, the OC.
Yep.
I I like that match.
Yeah, two completely different things for sure. Yeah. And I never fault anyone for not liking the Fiend or not liking the weird magic demon clown shit. Like, I completely understand. Completely understand. I love it though.
Oh,
I love it.
the booking of the Fiend, like I like the gimmick. The gimmick, I love it. But like the booking of him losing, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
It's
Hell
crazy.
no. Yes.
I don't understand, like, I don't even understand the first, like, Hell in a Cell thing with Seth Rollins. Like,
I mean, the match was good.
I don't know how they honestly got to that decision and was like, yeah, this is it right here. People are going to be cool with this. And they were not.
At a pay-per-view. I was there at that pay-per-view.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh my God. Whoa. Was it terrible? Like that atmosphere?
Literally the only reason why I went there because, like I said, I love the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing him in person. Oh God, I literally I got goosebumps. When I saw like the Fiend, when I heard the bell for like a DQ, I was like, didn't Triple H use a sledgehammer on Undertaker in WrestleMania?
So I don't think it was a DQ. I think it was like a no contest thing, saying that like the Fiend couldn't continue or something like that. I think it was like a stoppage, essentially, is what I think it was. The technical finish was.
Yeah, so far I like the Fiend, but like him losing. No, I mean they did the same thing with Undertaker when he came back from. Supposedly he retired.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Triple H. He lost to D-Generation X. Like, no.
And the Fiend is in his infant phase. You know, he just debuts. He's the hottest thing they have going on for them. That's not how you treat them.
Another thing, if you notice, Bliss has not lost a match. She has not lost a match at all. And she's basically replacing the Fiend. She's like the female version of the Fiend right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting what they're doing. And I'm not sure how much longer they can stretch it out for. Because I don't think so. I think maybe what the idea would have been is that they could stretch out Orton and the Fiend until WrestleMania with this, but it hasn't really changed anything, in my opinion. Seeing Randy Orton feud with the Fiend is really no different than seeing Randy Orton feud with Alexa Bliss every week, to me. And while I think some of it is interesting, I just think it's way past its time.
But I really think what you do is like they think that they with Daniel Bryan and the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
The Fiend and Daniel Bryan had a feud at Survivor Series. They skipped that feud, then they went into the Fiend versus the Fiend, the Miz versus the Fiend, Miz, which I still think the Miz sucks, and then they moved on to the feud again with Daniel Bryan and the Fiend. That's what they could do with Orton and the Fiend right now. Let Orton move to another feud until the Fiend comes back.
Yep. Yeah, they're just keeping the feud alive at this point with having Alexa Bliss, and it's no different than if Bray Wyatt was there.
Like, let a Bliss get some wins. Let us see what she's made of with this new Fiend form.
Yeah, and they had she got the title match against Asuka. Randy Orton cost her the match, and then that was just kind of it. Like, they never revisited that match. They never gave her another shot. There was no complaints. There was no Nothing. And you'd think they'd want something for Asuka to do at the same time. She's not doing anything.
Honestly, thank God Rhea Ripley's coming back.
I know.
It's coming.
Yeah. Raw needs Rhea Ripley for sure.
We need her desperately.
Yeah. Hopefully they protect her. I hope they protect her. I really do. I'm having NXT people move to the main roster and them not doing nearly as well as they were doing in NXT is killing me. It sucks.
Yeah,
it makes me it makes me less interested in NXT when I feel more disconnected from NXT when, you know, I put all my focus and all my time in watching these shows and growing with these wrestlers and learning to love them and be their fans, only for them to leave and just be a shell of themselves. It sucks. Sucks.
If I were them, I would just stay in NXT. Just like Finn Balor is killing it over.
Yeah. Finn Balor
Was Finn Balor on the list?
Sorry, what?
Any of the list? Was Finn Balor on any of those lists?
No. No. I don't believe so. No Finn Balor. Nowhere on the list. But
also, I know why they're making the Fiend lose. Mainly because WWE is making him look like a villain, and like they always say, villains always lose. And Goldberg supposedly is supposed to be the hero, but in reality, he's the real villain.
Yeah. Well, see, with the whole Fiend thing, I would have booked the Fiend literally a slasher, like a serial killer, like Jason. The perfect example is having you take a 2-hour Jason movie, right, where Jason's super strong, he's unstoppable. So you do that with the Fiend, he's unstoppable for months, destroying his opponents, he's untouchable. And then you get to the point where we were at right now, right, which would be the end of the movie, where someone actually kills Jason, or so they think. The equivalent of Randy Orton setting the Fiend on fire. This would have been his first loss. This would have been a huge upset. People would have been going batshit crazy. The Fiend is dead, only for him to return later down the line as a slightly different, burned face or something like that, and just do it literally like a slasher film.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like it's so easy. I don't understand why someone else wouldn't see that. The Fiend being Universal Champion doesn't, it's worthless.
Exactly, which would bring me to my other question. What if WWE had no titles and the only thing you won is let's say the Fiend. He's winning. They say his record is 500,000 wins or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other chump comes up, Randy Orton stops his winning streak. That would be that'd be a title right there, but with no hardware or the gold or that.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what's missing from current WWE is that everyone is so 50-50 booked, or they're just so meh. No one gets decisive victories. If they do, they get beat up by them afterwards. So there's no real shock for anything, you know? Everyone's literally everyone on the roster is pretty much meh, which sucks. Yeah. So stuff like that should be a huge accomplishment. And we talk about that for AEW. I still think that Hangman Adam Page is the next AEW World Champion, and I think he's going to be the first one to kick out of the One-Winged Angel, and it's going to be insane when it happens. It's going to be crazy. That's just how you protect things for those moments. And they're really not doing it. I feel like they're focusing on the now, the today. How do I get more people to watch my show today? Then how do I get more people to watch my show next week? And I think that's the problem. It's all about today.
I don't watch AEW.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen a couple matches. And they're brutal. They are brutal, and they're the most bloodiest matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that one. I literally just watched that one like about a couple weeks ago.
I was there.
It was
a couple rows back on the floor for that, and I will never forget just like literally watching blood just burst out of his forehead. It was so disgusting and awesome at the same time. That shit was crazy.
Feel like beating the crap out of Eddie Guerrero with a steel chair.
Yeah. Brutal. Brutal stuff, man. You got anything else? Anything else you want to talk about before we head out here?
That's basically it.
Basically it. All right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think I'm gonna close it out now. We're almost at 3 hours and 20 minutes. Good Lord. It's a long ass stream.
One more thing.
Sure. Yeah. What you got?
Raw. I pray to Father Rollins.
Yes.
I pray that that Miz gets that full Nelson. That he taps out and we get a new WWE champion.
Oh yes. I pray to Father Rollins as well. Unfortunately,
I will literally. I won't even watch your post shows, man, because how pissed I will be.
I'm gonna warn you. I think that Drew McIntyre is gonna cause a disqualification.
I'm voting for Bobby Lashley, but I just have this other feeling in my gut that.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like it's bound to happen, man. And then I would probably guess that we would see Lashley versus The Miz versus McIntyre at Fastlane. I would have Lashley probably pin The Miz or somehow beat The Miz, keep McIntyre strong, and then have McIntyre face like Sheamus or something.
Well, that's gonna do it for me.
All right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was nice chatting with you. Nice chatting with you as always. I appreciate having you in the chat and on here as well. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys. I love it. So have a good rest of your night, man.
You too.
All right. Crazy night. Crazy night. I'm always very shocked to see how long these things go. Like I said, I was expecting to be here for like an hour and a half or something like that. And here we are 3 hours and 20 minutes in. Absolutely insane. Talking about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. And we're actually like pretty on topic for most of the night. Absolutely crazy. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I think that is going to do it for me tonight. Rocco says it's for sure a disqualification. I wouldn't be surprised if Miz holds it till Mania. Oh man, I really hope that the Miz does not hold it until WrestleMania. I give the Miz until Fastlane. If the Miz does not drop the title by Fastlane, I'm gonna be very upset. Very upset about it. Shelva says AOW, I've seen a lot of people hate on the death match. What's your opinion real quick? I don't mind it. I trust AOW or God. I trust myself. I trust AEW to do the right thing. They haven't really let us down. So I'm very interested in seeing what they do with it. I see it as a positive, and the Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley feud deserves something crazy. They've been to hell and back a couple of times now. Let's not forget that Kenny Omega cheated to beat Jon Moxley. He fought, he argued with Jon Moxley tooth and nail to get just a regular wrestling match with him. Omega cheated, hit him in the head with a microphone, and sealed the deal that way. So there's bad blood there. There's a lot of stuff going on between them. So I think like this crazy ass match fits in perfectly for it. So I can't wait to see it. I'm excited. Maddie Jackson says 3 hours long, still more entertaining than Raw. Yes, I will get some woos for that one right there. Woos for that one. Wally P. Vanch, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Says, oh, you were going. Good night. Yeah, we're just kind of wrapping it up here. We're just talking about the One Awards. And I got a little bit of work to do before tomorrow. Let's see here. Wally P. says, would you be down for a Brock versus Drew versus Lashley? Yes, 100%. I'm down for that. I would prefer to see Brock versus Lashley in a singles match, but I'm not mad at Drew being in there as well. Zach says, sorry for showing up late tonight. However, I'll be here at 4 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning UK time, awaiting the post show for Raw. Enjoy the rest of your night, Detective. Thank you, Zach, for tuning in, man. I greatly appreciate it. Always a pleasure to see you here as well. Vance says, by the way, I am late as I was giving my exam. No worries, man. Hope you did well on your exam. Rocco says, is the finals of the Eliminator on Wednesday or at Revolution? And then they face Sheeta later that night. So I believe the US finals are this Wednesday, which will be Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose. And then the finals, I believe, are at Revolution, aren't they? Vance says, haha, it was an online exam. Oh, so you could just kind of cheat. So you got 100%? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You got 100% on your test? Raphael says, Rocco, the semifinals for the US side are on YouTube, and then the finals for the Eliminator is on Dynamite. So they're doing Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose on YouTube? Let me take a look, Cease. Oh, damn, you're right. Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose tomorrow on AEW's YouTube. You're right. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like the actual finals will be on AEW Dynamite this Wednesday, and then the title match will be on AEW Revolution. Should be a great pay-per-view. I also reached out to Fight TV to see if they had some codes, so I'm waiting to hear back from Joel on that. Hopefully I will have 2 codes to give away for people outside of the US. I always love doing that stuff. I'll keep you guys up to date when I know. Vance says, yep, it's been great to give exams previous the whole year. That is awesome. That is awesome. Anthony says the Miz should have won number 1 in worst gimmick. Oh man, yeah. 2020 for the Miz was terrible. Terrible. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much. It was really nice hanging out with you guys on a Sunday. Rocco says, I'll see you tomorrow, depending on if the main event isn't terrible and if something happens. I'm sure we'll see a disqualification. I'm sure we will. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys hanging out with me for 3.5 hours tonight, bullshitting about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. It has been a blast. Also, make sure to hit that like button before you scoot on out of here as well. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you all tomorrow night for the Monday Night Raw post show. Peace.